I'm Gabby D.
I'm Ty.
And this is
Beyond the Boom Saw.
Part 3. Welcome back, guys. Woo! This is probably, hopefully, the last one.
Yeah, let's wrap this motherfucker up. This psychopath.
Yeah, definitely. If you've been with us this long, it's highly appreciated. Today we're digging a little deeper into the Ted Bundy series and hopefully finishing it. So this might be a long episode. That's my goal. And with me on this journey still is the one and only Ty.
Yes, sir.
And I don't know about you, but I'm ready to get out of here. I'm over this Ted Bundy era, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
A little business really fast. First off, do we sound different? Because we got some new equipment. Hopefully we sound a little better.
Yeah, a little leveling up a little bit.
Happy Mother's Day to all the mamas out there. This weekend's been a bit crazy. We had your niece's birthday party yesterday. My birthday was actually Friday, so shout out to all the fellow Tauruses. And did anyone notice we have... Yuck. What, because you're a Leo?
Mm-hmm.
You know we aren't supposed to, work together?
That's why we
in
don't
a relationship.
Listen to that shit.
Last thing, did anyone notice that the intro is drastically much shorter? It was 35 seconds, I think, and now it's 4 or 5 seconds, so...
It's an improvement. Hopefully.
It's better, I think. But that's all I have today. Let's just jump right back into it. So last time we left off, Ted, he just attempted to abduct Carol from the mall by claiming he was law enforcement, and Carol, who fought like hell, got away from him, thank God. About 4 hours later, he found that other victim to take her place, and Ted is currently in Ohio. He's in law school still, and his criminal activity is really just ramping up, and he gets worse.
He still had to get that itch.
Yeah, he still had to get that itch. Now we're going to fast forward a little bit to Taylor Mountain, the mountain we talked about that he was disposing of the bodies. Mm-hmm. And this is 6 months after Carol escaped him. So this is March of 1975. And back in Washington State, they ran out of leads, pretty much at a dead end. I mean, he left state, the murder stopped. Different states, they're not interacting with each other about stuff like this. So since the killing stopped and Bundy moved, at this point they needed the killer to slip up and get caught, and sadly that would only come at the cost of another victim. They hit a wall for a while, but then it cracked wide open. First, we're going to talk about Mr. Bob Keppel, who's now a detective in Washington at the King County Sheriff's Office. But when he came across Ted Bundy's first victim, he was a low-ranking patrol officer. So Ted Bundy's first victim that we talked about on the first episode, his first confirmed kill, Linda Ann Healy, the one that went missing from her room, and he hung up her nightgown in the closet and it had a little bit of blood.
At the college, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're pretty much all at the college, honestly.
But I do, yes, sir.
Yeah, it was the first one we talked about. This was his first crime scene, his first crime, everything.
Oh, sure.
Does that make sense?
He was kind of there from the start.
Yes, and he eventually turns into a detective. And Detective Keppel, he recalls a group of students. They were foresters, and they were marking trees in Taylor Mountain, and they actually came across the skull of Brenda Ball laying in the woods. So a bunch of students are who found a skull, the cops came, and then they just started finding all these pieces of bones. One good thing about this police department, they do have their own search and rescue team. So search and rescue, there's also, volunteers, there's trained canines, all that good stuff. So they get there, and about 100 feet away from the skull, they find the remains of 3 other women.
Oh my God, can you imagine?
I mean, there's already all these killings and missing reports, and then you just come into
essentially
a graveyard. Yeah. A graveyard of bones.
You'd immediately think it's a serial killer, because no way in hell they're all separate murders. You're finding body after body. Oh, what a coincidence that would be. And you're like, holy shit, there's a fucking psychopath out here.
Again, if you join Patreon and look at the crime scene photos, they are gnarly. I found a bunch of the Taylor Mountain photos, and pretty much it's pictures of every single bone they found, where they found it, stuff like that, pretty much everything that's cataloged in the evidence. And there is one picture that stood out to me the most besides the skulls, and I don't know why, but it was so eerie. It was just a rib cage. No head, no legs, no arms, nothing. And it was just laying on the ground like a woman on her back. And I don't know, it's just so eerie. It's just in the middle of nothing too.
Yeah.
And it's just this decaying rib cage that's been sitting there. And I don't know why. It's just more eerie to me than even the skeletons, the skulls and the bones that I seen. I don't know, just something about that was very eerie to me. And I wanted to point it out.
Disembodied torso.
Yeah.
It hits a little different.
It just hits a little different than a head, I guess. It's just very, very eerie. But all those photos are on Patreon. I do not post stuff like that on our socials. I think it's a little too much to be sharing on there. And Patreon specifically is for gnarlier things.
Yeah.
So It's there if you're interested.
And mind you guys, we know you can look it up for yourselves, but instead of doing all the research yourselves and spending all that time Google searching and looking for the right information, it's all compiled nicely for you.
Yes.
In our Patreon. So.
And a lot of the crime scene photos are actually very hard to find, so go on fucking Patreon, you bastards.
So everything's there for you guys, easy access. And
if you got an extra dollar, I want it.
Required.
Go sign up.
Go sign up.
So like I said, they found a lot out there. They found teeth, bones broken off from other bones, the lower portion of women's jawbone. In the Ted tapes, Ted would say about Taylor Mountain that the individual, he was clearly trying to cover up his crimes. When a body was left there, the animals in the area were going to do his work for him. And he'd continue to go back there because he had his own garbage disposal. So he'd continue to kill in the same area. So showing again, obviously his hatred for women, but that he looks at them as trash. He said garbage disposal, which we all know, but fuck you, Ted. And I just think it's very interesting how he refers to himself in third person, too.
Without actually admitting guilt. He talks to the officers or lawyers, whoever he's talking to, as if
he's great
in the mind of the killer. Yeah, like he knows what this killer would do. Like, motherfucker, you're talking about yourself.
Yeah, I think he's taking that psychology degree a little too far, in my opinion.
But I don't know if his ego would allow him to actually talk about himself and this is what I did. He's like, this is what he would do, the killer, the...
I don't know if it's his ego, because I think his ego would love to brag about it deep down. I think it's more of how he's portrayed to people. He doesn't want people to see him as this vicious killer, you know?
But he's never admitted guilt either, right?
Towards the end, he does admit to a lot of other women that we don't know about.
What, on his deathbed, pretty much?
Well, he gets electrocuted, but...
Yeah, but like towards
It's before he dies. We'll dig into it a little more, but he kind of does. He doesn't give details about the crime. Like, he doesn't dig deep into it. He's not like, I did A, B, and C, blah, blah, blah. But he's like, I did this. This is where her body is, blah, blah, blah.
So if you were to put it on a timeline, say, beginning from when his trial started, he was probably arrogant, didn't admit much, and he seemed like the most perfect guy. And then as he went to jail, and then the time towards his death started coming up.
Yes.
Maybe some remorse. I don't know.
No remorse.
But maybe he started saying more, taking accountability and more things that he's doing.
Yeah. I mean, the man, he doesn't show a shred of a remorse. And I do low-key wonder if, like, he only admitted it towards the end to add to his body count and get more notoriety for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Maybe there was an ulterior motive.
Yeah. I just don't see... Yeah, no. Now, searching the mountain, of course, it took time. They're filled with trees, tons of bushes, and they did a great job, I believe, in my opinion. In the end, they'd find the remains of 6 missing women scattered all over Taylor Mountain. The skeletal remains of 21-year-old Linda Ann Healy, the first victim, 22-year-old Brenda Ball, which is the skeleton the college students found first that led to everyone else, 18-year-old Susan Elaine Raincourt, 20-year-old Roberta Parks. At this point, they assume the women that are missing and the ones that they have found were all killed by the same person. As for the remains, they'd been scattered and affected, impacted, as well as torn apart by animals. It was the 70s, so they didn't have technology to do much when it came to forensics back then. They couldn't even say the cause of death for most of the victims because all they had to work with at that time were bones.
Have we ever talked about how personal his killing method was?
I have it quoted towards the end. He's going to explain why he does it like that. It's very much so he sees these women as property and he wants control.
Yeah.
I feel like he's just so violent. Because like you said, the MO, it's always strangulation.
Well, they say that's like the most intimate, personal type of kill. Like to strangle someone to death and just watch their eyes.
I believe it's like 3 minutes you have to like, it's not even like... This is an excuse, but if you're mad and you have a gun or a knife and you stab or shoot someone...
No, it's definitely different.
This is like, you're locked in.
And that was his killing of choice. Like, he preferred
He'd always strangle, or he was really big on bludgeoning, too. Okay. So he would bludgeon a lot of women to death.
And then strangle?
Usually. Like, I think the strangling was to make sure they weren't alive still.
Right. This isn't the glaze them or anything, but it's very interesting just to look into the mind of this person and how he operated and what he was thinking when he did all these things.
Oh, yeah. I think that, to me, is what I find the most fascinating about serial killers, is because, like, what is going on up there, you know?
Exactly. It's very interesting.
Yeah, and I think because we don't have that mentality, it's even more intriguing to us, you know? We're humans, so I feel like as humans, we always try to find a purpose, like why they do this, why they act like that. And when there's really no reasoning, I think it makes it even more interesting, which I really hate to say, but I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We're here for a reason. We all have some kind of interest in true crime if you're listening to a true crime podcast. Again, has anyone been wondering where the fuck's Liz?
The girlfriend?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So Liz, she's still in Washington, and she's growing more concerned. She noticed the killing stopped in her area, but now more young women were disappearing in towns surrounding where Ted lived. So she called the police again, because remember, she already called them once.
Okay, yeah, we went through this
But
already.
nothing
Let's see how this
happened.
goes.
Then a month later in December, Liz called again. So in total, she calls 3 times to the police. Repeating her suspicion, and Ted's name was added back to their list of suspects. But still no evidence linked him to any of the murders, old or new. In January 1975, Ted returned home to Seattle after his last exam, and he spent a week with Liz, who of course didn't tell him she reported him 3 times now.
Good for her.
Oh my gosh.
So like he came home, she's like, I called the cops on you. Like,
oh my God, yeah, no. Or the cops didn't say something, or, how that shit can go.
Well, the cops better be smart enough not to implicate somebody that's giving them evidence.
In 1975, Ted also moved from Utah to Colorado, so he's moving again. And again, the murders shifted with him, of course. Almost a year after his first confirmed kill, Karen Eileen Campbell would go missing.
Wait, so before he goes to jail, it probably hasn't been over 2 years.
No.
Are you serious?
Oh, he gets... All these killings are so close together.
I don't know what I'm more surprised about. Maybe I thought it would have lasted longer. Like, it would have been a span of, like... I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know.
Well, I mean, when there's a rap sheet like this, you assume it's over a long period, like BTK. I don't know how long Jeffrey Dahmer was out running around. I haven't covered that yet, but he's...
Yeah, I thought it was like just...
Well, some of these...
over the course of many years, but...
No. This is all 74 and 75. He started killing in 74. We're only in 1975. We aren't even a year after his first killing, and we're about to finish this out, so shit's about to go crazy.
Oh, he goes on that fucking bender.
Yeah, a very bad one. Karen was born to parents Robert and Audrian. She was also welcomed into this world by her then 13-year-old sister Sandy, and at the time Bundy crossed paths with her, she was a 23-year-old registered nurse. And one day she decided to go on a trip with her fiancé, Dr. Raymond Gadowski, who was a cardiologist, and he had 2 kids, 11-year-old Gregory and 9-year-old Jenny. They actually had gone from where they lived in Michigan to Colorado on a family vacation, so they were just visiting. Her fiancé had a medical seminar, so they figured they'd make the best of the trip and also turn it into a family vacation. The group would stay at the Wildwood Inn for their trip. Karen hadn't been feeling well that night, and even though she had a slight case of the flu, she still took the kids skiing and sightseeing while their father attended the medical seminar. Later, they ate dinner at a restaurant called the Stew Pot, and I think I would love it there. The Stew Pot. Mm-hmm. If there's one thing about me, I love some stew. So they ate at the Stew Pot, and then they all returned to the inn where they were staying. They settled in the lounge area, enjoying the fire around 8:30 p.m., and she decided she wanted to go get her magazine to read by the fire. She went towards the elevator, went up to the 2nd floor, got off, and chatted to a few physicians she met during the convention. It was a very busy area at the time with everything going on. After some time, she'd been gone a little too long, so her fiancé went to find her, but she wasn't in the room, she wasn't anywhere in the surrounding area, she wasn't back in the lounge. He searched frantically for her and eventually called the police. She'd simply vanished into thin air.
That's scary.
Now, Ray, the fiancé, he did stay in town for a week before heading back home, and just imagine that. Do you remember... Sidebar, do you remember when Buddy ran away and I refused? We weren't even living together yet, and I was like, I'm not going home till I find my dog. Mm-hmm. Now imagine that with your person, your fiance. Yep. You have to go home.
I can't even. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night.
I couldn't. It just made me think of Buddy, and I was like, oh my God, that's also my dog, which is my baby. Mm-hmm. But like you, oh my gosh, what are you gonna do?
Like you just disappeared off the face of the earth.
She just went up. She disappeared from the 2nd floor, and he's also got his 2 kids there who were young, I think 11 and 9.
And I'm sure he instantly knew someone did something, because that's your fiance. She didn't just walk off or said, I'm done with this.
Well, a lot of the time,
someone did something.
Usually at first, people have high hopes, but after a while, you're like, oh, I think something bad happened. Like he says he's just waiting to pick up the phone and her be on the other side. He waited for a call.
Man, because if that was you, I know you wouldn't just walk away or run away. I'm like, I know someone did something. I would know immediately, and I would go to the police station. And they'd be like, "Are you sure? Maybe she broke up with you." Shut the fuck up! That's my girlfriend. I know what she would and wouldn't do. Don't tell me to wait 24 hours while you're rotting in the backseat somewhere.
That. Yeah,
and that could have been time for them to like find you or some shit,
First 48.
or save you.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
Try and tell me how how my girlfriend would react.
I hate how cops do that with kids, with loved
they do it
ones.
with kids too. Oh, maybe she ran away.
Because you know my 12-year-old better than me.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. No, I fully agree.
And then that's like vital fucking time. They could have did something. Yeah. And
the first 48 is like, I know it's a big thing in America. It's a big thing in other countries.
There's a whole show. It's called The First 48.
Yeah.
And I remember they say the first 48 hours is the most crucial hours to, find somebody, a missing person.
What I'm saying is like other countries believe in that same motto.
Yeah.
Like it's the most
crucial hours.
So to just be like, oh, whatever, fuck you, I'm just going to chill. It's just stupid. I feel so bad for the dude. And all I'm trying to say is I just can't imagine being forced to go back home when I'm looking for you after, you disappeared like that. I couldn't imagine being him. Eventually her fiance had to pack and fly home with his children, but he kept waiting for a call from Karen, which would never come.
Pack and fly home?
Yep. They're on a family vacation, remember?
I wouldn't be flying home.
I know. I mean, he was there a week.
Pack and fly home?
What? It's so hard. I'm just staring out the window, just trying to think of like me. I can't even imagine being in that situation.
States away?
Yeah, just up and leaving. I wouldn't leave 40
home,
minutes from my dog.
Hope she took a plane and went home with, what? No. Oh, no.
36 days later.
Yeah. But that's scary. That's scary.
Oh, yeah.
Heart goes out to that man because
I can't imagine. And she wasn't found in a very great way. 36 days later, on February 17th, 1975, her naked, frozen remains would be found face down on a dirt road just outside Aspen. An employee in the area came across her body when the snow began to melt. He saw a bunch of birds prey, flying around, pecking at something. She was found in a blood-covered snowbank off of Owl Creek Road, not far from the inn, only 3 miles away. That's how close she was. It was clear coyotes got to her, and there were drag marks all over, probably from them or other animals eating her and ripping her apart. After viewing the body, it was also clear she had been beaten and cut up. The cause of death was blunt force trauma to the back of her head with a blunt object, combined with sub-zero elements. She also had ligature marks on her wrist, a sign she had been tied up, and of course, likely, sexually assaulted. They also determined by her stomach contents that she had only died 2 hours after her last dinner with her family. For some of the detectives at this point, they thought she fell victim to the same murderer who had clearly claimed at least 12 other young women's lives out west. And Bundy,
thank you for realizing and
finally.
Connecting the dots. Yeah, finally.
Buddy would confess to her murder before his execution. Julie Cunningham was born January 10th, 1949, to Herbert and Iva Cunningham in Winchester, Massachusetts. By February 15th, 1975, now ski instructor Julie Cunningham was 26 and disappeared while walking from her apartment to a dinner date with a friend. Bundy later told Colorado investigators that he approached Cunningham on crutches and asked her to help carry his ski boots to his car, where he then clubbed and handcuffed her before sexually assaulting her at a secondary site 60 miles away. When finished, he strangled her and dumped her body in a shallow grave. Some reports say weeks later, he made a 6-hour drive from Salt Lake City to revisit her remains and assault them sexually. Her body has never been found to this day. Denise Oliverson was born August 10th, 1950, and she was 24 when she disappeared near the Utah-Colorado border in Grand Junction. I don't know why she disappeared near the I think I read ahead a lot, like my notes, and try to
That's okay. You have as many takes to get it right.
Yeah,
no
that's
one
good.
Will ever know.
Bless your heart. On April 6th, 1975, she had argued badly with her husband before she pedaled off on her bike to visit her parents and cool down.
That's the worst. No.
Her parents hadn't expected her, and when she didn't return that night, her husband assumed she was just still angry with him and chose to stay the night at her parents' to cool off. Deciding to give her some time to relax, he left her alone, but the next day when he called their house, he began to worry as he learned she never even made it there. And this isn't a time of cell phones, and all that, and so... The next day, searchers found her bicycle and sandals under a duct near a railroad bridge close to the Colorado River on U.S. Route 50, along the route she would have probably taken to get to her parents. So as she was bicycling, someone got to her. Her body has never been found. Ted would admit to murdering her before his execution. He stated he abducted Oliverson, killed her in his car near the Utah state line, and dumped her body in the Colorado River. This admission was supported by gas receipts, which are also on the Patreon. These receipts would show that he was in the same city the same day she went missing. So it backs up his theory.
Yeah.
At this point, he's just getting away with so many murders. He's now killing out in the Midwest, so Washington isn't linking their murders with Utah. And at this time, homicide isn't sharing information over state lines, so again, it wasn't like it is now. Everyone's just in the dark. Bundy would even state later, quote, "The inherent shortcomings of law enforcement make the detection of crime and the solution of crime an extremely difficult process. Defects in our system of law enforcement permit the individuals to get away with it," end quote. Which he's not wrong. But it's his way of being like, don't blame them that they couldn't find me, you know.
Let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
Would a motherfucker like this exist in 2026?
What do you mean? Why not?
It's a different world. Do you think a serial killer of his magnitude would be able to exist in 2026?
I think it'd be extremely difficult to get away with it.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
but
he got away. How many kills has he had?
Over 20.
Over 20. Mm-hmm. I'm saying, like...
Well, according to him...
Could be more.
In the 3 digits. I think it'd be extremely difficult now, and as time progresses in the future, it'll be even harder just because how technology progressed, and, you know, CODIS and DNA and fingerprints. And
cameras everywhere.
CCTV. I mean...
The technology's better. They can track you with your phone. They can track you with other people's phones now. Like, the shit they can do
Well,
now.
even cars have tracking, because he likes to steal vehicles. So what if he stole a car and it had an Apple tag or, you know...
Every other
tracking.
Traffic light has a fucking camera on it. There's cameras in grocery stores.
It'd be
plazas.
very hard. But then again, think about... There are people today who get away and are technically serial killers.
You start, but I don't think it could happen to the Ted Bundy magnitude. I think, your first one, right? And that's when the investigation starts, and they probably think it's an isolated killing. And then there's a second one. And then a third one, and they're like, all right, you know, something's happening. But I don't think they could get to 20 plus. But we're talking about isolated...
Incidents like him.
Every month, every other week, whatever their schedule is.
Yeah.
I think it'd be very hard to do in today's world.
I agree. I mean...
You know what I mean? Like, has there ever been, outside of that era, let's say starting in 2000s, has there been a serial...
Oh, yeah. It'd be very difficult. Ted definitely... I hate calling him Ted. Sometimes when I say it, I'm like, ugh, Bundy. But I feel like he definitely had way more advantages in the past, because, I mean... No phones, no DNA.
Less cameras.
Yeah, probably like none. Yeah. There's not cameras at stores and restaurants in the 70s, you know?
That's what I'm saying.
And if there are, they're probably shit. Absolute shit.
The cameras are the main thing, man. You
can't No, you can't. I mean, we have a camera facing us right now while we're recording. So let's go back on topic, though, because we have a lot to get through, and we're already 40 minutes in. At this point, Ted... We can assume he's taking pride in his killings. His ego's fucking flooded in, I'm sure. He's becoming a hunter, and he's loving it. We've also seen him in little frenzy killings back to back. Losing one girl, killing another 4 hours later, 2 girls in one day. He does have this frenzy side of him that's slowly seeping through. Bundy's next victim, Lynette Dawn Culver, was born July 31st, 1962. On May 6th, 1975, Ted parked outside of a junior high school in Pocatello, Idaho, and I'm sorry if I'm not saying that right, after seeing 12-year-old Lynette walking alone. 12.
Yeah, I did the math in my head.
12.
I was like, yo, she's young.
Yeah, 12 years old. He lured her into his vehicle before driving her to his Holiday Inn hotel room. There he sexually assaulted her and drowned her in the bathtub. He admitted to her murder before his execution and said he disposed of her body in Snake River north of Pocatello, but her body was never found. In the middle of all this, when he's kidnapping, raping, and drowning this child, 12-year-old child, are you wondering why he didn't do it at his house? Like, why did he buy a hotel room and do it like that? Out in the open, kind of. Not out in the open, but, you know, where people see him. So in the middle of all this, his attack with her, some of Ted's old co-workers visited him from Salt Lake City and stayed with him for a week in his apartment, which is probably why he had did this killing in a hotel room. But also... Kidnapping, raping, killing a child, and then returning home to where your friends are visiting and staying with you is just psychotic. That is insane.
How'd your night go?
Yeah. Where you at, Bundy? I know he's probably like, oh, work, what you guys been doing? You ready to eat? You know, let's change the topic, probably.
I want to say that's another thing that I didn't really know about Bundy.
The kids.
I
didn't either, really.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, no. I knew he had so many victims. I thought they were all college girls, you know, that have a certain look to them. Because when you put them back to back, they all look like, not the same, but you know, the same. But yeah, he starts slipping into the kids. 15, 13 years old. I believe 12's the youngest. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. Bundy would confess to killing Lynette, then dumping her body in the Snake River after. He also claimed he raped and drowned the 12-year-old child in a hotel room after abducting her, so that's pretty much the pieces are... We can take it with a grain of salt, but that's what Bundy told us. Law enforcement didn't fully accept his confession despite providing some convincing details because her body had never been found. Next month in early June, Ted spent a week in Seattle with Liz, and they discussed marriage for the following Christmas. Again, he had no idea of Liz's suspicion or that she tried to turn him in a few times by now.
What? Is she, like, scared at this point?
I think still in the back of her mind, she's like, it's not him. Like, everyone's telling me it's not him.
Yeah, but if she called the cops on him, so he proposed to her? Oh, yeah, obviously.
So it does say they discussed marriage the following Christmas, so I don't see Ted Bundy getting down on one knee and being like, be my wife.
He could have, but let's assume that. Mm-hmm. If I was her, I'd be scared shitless to say no. I'd say yes so quick. I would say yes so quick. I'm like, dude, if I say no, I might be his next victim.
I don't know.
You can't.
He's states away. You don't hear from him for weeks. I would just, honestly, I'd break up with him. I would have been broke up with him. You would have
to pack up and go.
Well, her whole family's there, and they all know him. They're all in the politics shit, you know?
Fuck that. Pack up and go. Say nothing. Don't even let your family know where you're at.
Yeah.
It's more than a suspicion at this point.
Yeah.
To call on your own boyfriend.
Well, luckily...
3 times.
Luckily, he wouldn't have the chance of marrying her, so that's good.
And he's thinking everything's going great.
Oh, yeah. He's like, what did he say? This meek bookworm wrapped around my little finger, you know. This wealthy, meek woman. Ted's next victim, Suzanne Curtis, was born May 18th, 1960. We got a lot of May babies this episode. To Larry Eugene and Marilyn Ruth in Salt Lake City. On June 28th, 15-year-old Susan Curtis, because he's on to the kids again, she's only 15, vanished while attending a youth conference.
While attending a youth conference.
In Brigham Young University. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ty.
You're welcome.
Due to the unhappy home life, she did have a history of running away, but was never gone more than a few days. She also was being sexually assaulted by a physical education coach named William Bill Lugo, who would later actually be convicted of his crimes, so we know this is true.
Good.
And all this led to obvious mental health issues with her. 15 years old and went through all this, so I can only imagine how she felt. According to a close friend of the Curtis family, her and her phys ed coach tried to run away together a week before her murder. Obviously, the gym teacher became suspect number 1 and was grooming the child. And the family did hire a ton of psychics to try and find their daughter, with no prevail.
They must all have been fake psychics.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
But interestingly enough, I've seen some shows where some murders have been solved by psychics. I don't know what to think of it. I can't say if it's real or fake, or maybe the psychic saw a lot of news reports and they had, like, good intuition or something.
I think probably 1 in every 5,000 psychics are real. I think there's probably some real shit out there. Like, you know me.
Oh, for sure.
I'm definitely more drawn to ghosts and morbid stuff. And I think there is some real people out there, but I think most of them are BS.
There's a lot of scams.
Yeah.
Maybe 1 in every 1,000.
I was like, maybe 5,000. 1 in every 1,000.
Because if that shit's real, I don't think everybody has that
gift.
Yeah.
No, I fully agree. Especially the ones you just call on the phone, like, you know. And they have ways of finding information about you, especially nowadays. Holy shit. And just looking at Facebook.
And some of them that seem like TikTok, they have the gift, they actually have another skill where they're just really good at reading people, and it emulates them having this gift.
I think
it just
the
looks
skills, like it. They're just a really good con artist.
Well, some people are good at reading people and reading their body.
Yeah, but you're still being a con artist, you know?
True,
yeah.
But I think that is a skill in itself, but they're just using
it for... No, I mean, it's a good one. It reminds me of, I can't think of the Will Smith and Margaret Robbie movie, where they're both, like, con artists. Put it in the comments.
Yeah.
Someone knows. So her murder would actually be the last confession Ted made before his execution. It was tape-recorded moments before he entered the execution chamber. That's how close it was to him dying. Like, he literally... Now we are going to move on to Ted Bundy's arrest. You might want to hold the applause.
What? He got arrested.
We didn't even go over his frenzies. So how's that happen if he's in prison?
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
You tricked me.
On August 16th, 1975, Bundy crossed paths with a Utah Highway Patrol officer named Bob Hayward in Granger, another Salt Lake City suburb in Utah. And Bob Hayward is a motherfucking boss. Hayward observed Bundy cruising a residential area in a Volkswagen Beetle. He also knew the area well. This was like a small town cop, you know. And he wasn't familiar with a tan Volkswagen Bug living in this area. When he tried to get Bundy's plates, Bundy turned his lights off and began to flee at high speeds. One thing about Bundy, this motherfucker always gets caught by driving erratically because he's stupid. I swear to God. I swear to God. Mark my words, because it'll happen again. He ran 2 stop signs before stopping at a gas station, and the cop just pulled up on him because, like, what the fuck are you doing? So the officer went up to him, asked, why are you out so late? Bundy said he was watching The Towering Inferno at the movie theater, but he lost his way and was trying to figure out where he was. Officer Hayward noticed that the Volkswagen's front passenger seat had been removed, and also because it was a small town, he was also aware they weren't even showing that movie in the movie theater, so he knew this guy was lying.
Good job, officer.
2 more officers arrived, and they decided, due to the passenger seat being missing, because that's weird as fuck, that they'd search the car. In the car, they found the kill kit of Theodore Robert Bundy. Yeah, that deserves some claps. That's good. Or wait, do we snap because it's Mike's, right? There is a famous picture of the kit I'm going to show Ty. It'll also be on Patreon, but inside this kit, which it's just in a brown paper bag, they found a brown ski mask, an ice pick, strips of torn sheets, pantyhose, a crowbar, handcuffs, trash bags, a coil of rope, gloves, and other items initially assumed to be burglary tools. They also found some brochures of ski resorts and gas station receipts that would come in handy later for evidence, which you can also find on Patreon. What we discuss next, I did find 2 conflicting articles about. One says when they asked, what the fuck is this kill kit? Bundy explains the ski mask is for skiing, he found the handcuffs in a dumpster, and the rest were common household items, right? And the other reports say, which I do see more of these reports, that he claimed he was a law school student who was studying how to catch criminals. So he just had a kill kit on hand for that, I guess? I don't know. Now. Ted would say later, I think that was kind of his way of dropping that he's a law student, in my opinion. Bundy would say later it was a freak occurrence that brought him in contact with Officer Hayward at 2 o'clock in the morning. He made a big emphasis on how it was pure luck that he was caught. Bundy would go ahead and contact Bruce Lubeck, who's a defense attorney for Salt Lake City, and said, I need a lawyer, so he became Ted's. John O'Connell was the other lawyer on the case that would join them later on and became the lead counsel for Ted. They both think at first, this is just a minor situation, right? Something small, a guy's driving around, he just has this random kill kit in his car, nothing too crazy. One of the lawyer's secretaries had even dated Ted, and they all thought Ted was just this nice, good guy with a bright future, and it'll just be a slap on the wrist, right?
So we can get him out of this.
But they were very mistaken. Shortly after his arrest, prosecutors reached out to his defense and said, you guys need to come in here ASAP so we can discuss this dude. They said, hey, we got his kill kit, he's got the Volkswagen Bug, right? And the fact that he very much resembles the man Carol DeRanch was almost kidnapped by, and they wanted to dig a little deeper. They found out the handcuffs in his car matched the same brand that was found on Carol, and the crowbar he used to threaten her was also found inside the Bug. They called Carol and said, we have a suspect, and wanted her to come in and look at him in a lineup.
Yes!
Now remember, last time they did this, 7 out of 8 witnesses said Ted was not who they thought he was at Sammamish State Park. Do you remember when all those witnesses?
Yeah, they had a fucked up memory.
Yeah. So at the same time, Ted, he's calling his church buddies, because remember, he's turned to Jesus. He's been baptized again. He's involved in the church. He's just an angel. And he said, look, I've been arrested. I have to go line up tomorrow. And this LDS church member remembered Ted seemed so unlike himself during this call. He wasn't calm and polished. He was chaotic and obviously upset, which made his friends suspicious because why are you so defensive, Ted? If it's some big misunderstanding, why are you acting like this? But he also was thrown into this situation, so he stood by him. When Ted came in for the lineup so Carol could look at everyone, he changed his appearance and detectives noted it. He had his hair cut off, and he shifted the part in his head from one side to another. And it may seem silly, but that one small detail can really change someone's appearance. There's a photo lineup of this moment. It's Ted and these other guys that look like him in the same room. And most of the other guys that look like Ted were actually other police officers. Fun fact. When Ted came in for his lineup, like I said, he changed his appearance. Detectives noticed it.
Suspicious.
Now, the moment Carol walked in, She said she knew it was him just by how he walked. She could tell just by his cadence that was the man that attacked her. Ted would later say, people build this case around a non-existing eyewitness. Eyewitness identification was built by the police, but I kept it together because there's no point in destroying myself. I have got to keep myself together. I've got to keep my presence of mind, because as long as I do that, I am going to beat these people. To which I say completely and wholeheartedly, fuck you, Ted. We need to just get shirts made that say fuck you, Ted. On Erica, if you're out there listening, we should make this happen. After Carol's identification, Bundy was now charged with kidnapping, and the police dug more into who he was, because remember, Carol escaped, and 4 hours later, another victim vanished, and he left the key there. So they knew he had to be tied to both of them. And where is this girl that went missing? The next day, the newspaper headlines read, "Could Utah Ted be elusive Seattle Ted?"
So they're starting to tie the cases together?
Yep. I don't know why I popped it like that. We'll see how that pop filter works. Seattle, they got a little whiff of this, little sniff. And slowly the walls started to cave in. But they weren't going to crush Bundy just yet. Nick Mackey, captain of the sheriff's department in Washington, said in an interview that it's common knowledge Ted Bundy is the prime suspect in the missing women and murdered women in Washington, and the states have started to talk to each other. So someone said, yeah, he's our prime witness, and we're all going to communicate now. So Washington, Colorado, and Utah law enforcement all meet up, and these three states coming together to discuss evidence theories, all the research, their victims, would actually be the first multi-state conference of its kind. Just an interesting little fact to sprinkle in there. Of course, Ted would be held and charged with the kidnapping of Carol, so they knew they had a little time, but they had to get the ball going. There to back up Ted, of course, was his church peers, and they claimed, quote, "We knew he was innocent of all charges. That was their feeling," end quote. It gets worse. It gets worse.
Oh my God.
They even stood outside the trial and courtroom demanding he was innocent and showing Ted he had their support. They even went as far as asking Carol, who was kidnapped, almost raped, and murdered by this man, "Are you sure he's the guy?" Whenever they ran into her around town, they'd say specifically, quote, "Carol, are you sure you got the right guy?"
Oh my God.
I hate people. I hate it. People be people, and I hate it. They literally were questioning her just because he was a charming, attractive, smart college law student who attended their church. While this was all happening, on August 21st, investigators searched Bundy's home. What investigators didn't find, sadly, was a box in Bundy's utility room, and it was a shoebox full of Polaroids of all his victims. This is according to his lawyer. He is who claims Bundy said all this. So Bundy apparently was like, oh, well, they didn't find the box of my Polaroids of all my victims. This could be complete BS. I think Bundy, he likes to look better and smarter, so he could have just lied about it. Could it be true? Yeah, sure. Usually serial killers keep some kind of trophy. It's very common. And Polaroid pictures, that's very common for the time especially, so I wouldn't be surprised either way. Shortly after his arrest, Ted denied knowing Carol, and with insufficient evidence and no alibi, he was freed on a $15,000 bail bond by his parents. Bundy would set things in motion to sell his Volkswagen Beetle to a random teenager. And Utah police immediately impounded the vehicle, and they had FBI, what the fuck? They had FBI technicians dismantle and searched it, and they found a few hairs matching Campbell's body.
These cops are cooking.
They get in there. Later, they also identified hair strands from those of Smith and Duranch, the girl who's claiming he kidnapped her.
What?
When he was out on bail, he did spend most of the time bouncing back and forth between, court proceedings, stuff with interrogations, Liz's house, his family's. And Liz, she let him live there for quite some time, and reasons I really just don't understand. A part of me is like, good for you, Liz, for, trying to do the right thing, and another part of me is like, what the fuck? They did keep Ted on close surveillance, and in November, the three main investigators would meet in Aspen, Colorado. Jerry Thompson from Utah, Robert Keppel from Washington, and Michael Fisher from Colorado. Here, everyone shared information and matched up their cases. This meeting would actually be called the Aspen Summit, and they all left convinced Ted was the murderer they had been looking for, but more evidence would be needed to fully convict him, obviously. February 1967, Ted stood trial for Carol's kidnapping. He listened to his attorney and waived the right to a jury due to negative publicity surrounding him in the case. Not to mention his cult-like following at this point. Everyone said his fans in those courtrooms and outside of them gave him a boost of confidence that you could visibly see. And we know Ted was just eating that shit up.
Yep.
Also, Bundy waived his right to a jury, probably because he thought he'd win. That's my opinion. Negative publicity, sure, but I also really think he was so confident that he would win that he went straight to the judge with it. He didn't see the point in a jury. He'd say how he still wants to be a lawyer and will be a damn good one, and he knows things will work out. This is just his recordings.
Oh, let's hear it.
Well, I'm sure it works, and you've got to have faith it'll work, or else you'd be reduced to some kind of, mumbling idiot.
Does that mean ultimately you want to get involved in the criminal justice system?
The funny thing happened to me on the way to labor law class one morning. I got 2 weeks in the spa, and yes, I intend to complete my legal education and become a lawyer and be a damn good lawyer. I think things are going to work out. That's about all I can say.
Things did in fact not work out for Ted Bundy. And he did not make a damn good lawyer, because there will become a point where he pulls a Bundy. You know, I like to reference that, and becomes his own lawyer.
Why do they always do this? They think they can represent themselves.
I don't know. If you couldn't hear the recording very well, he'd say how he still wants to be a lawyer and will become a damn good one, and he knows things will work out in the end for him. There's tons of recorded videos and interviews at this time, and it's just kind of funny seeing him so confident when you literally get put to death. And be so confident when you literally have done this, because this is just about the kidnapping trial right now. You've done this and so much worse, and you're just calm, cool, and collected.
Nonchalant about it.
It's ridiculous. Carol had to come in, and she was on the stand for hours upon hours. They tried to confuse her and trip her up, but she held her head high and was stern in her demeanor. She pointed at Bundy and said, "He is the one. He is who tried to kidnap me." Bundy snapped, and it slipped a little bit. Full of rage and anger, he stood up, pointed at the judge, then at Carol, and said, "She's lying. She's lied before, and she's lying now."
What? He probably couldn't believe that she was like...
Getting away with it. Well,
Carol's the girlfriend, right?
No. Carol's the girl he kidnapped.
Oh.
And she had the cuff on her, and then 4 hours later he killed the one who ID'd him.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Hey,
I thought the girlfriend was testifying. I was like, fucking finally.
Dude, it's a lot of names. And I'm doing first, last, middle if I can find it, so don't worry at all. Liz is the girlfriend. Carol's who he tried to kidnap. So Carol would say she felt like he was really, really arrogant and always had a smirk on his nasty little face, and that's not verbatim, I just threw that in there. She really felt he thought he was going to get away with it, and judging by his interviews, videos, it's a fact he really thought he was. And this is a quote by Ted Bundy. "When Carol Durant came to testify, I was beside myself with rage. She is turning into a professional witness as far as I'm concerned. When I heard her go through her routine, I got very, very mad and indignant. There's no right way to react. I showed emotion, and you know what people said? 'See, he really can get violent and angry.' And I don't care what people think about how I act. Just a side note, you kind of do because you felt the need to say something about it, but I digress. I act accordingly to the way I think is right and best for me at the time." Needless to say, in the end, the judge found Ted guilty of kidnapping. But that really didn't mean shit. Bundy did go in for a 90-day evaluation with a psychologist from the Utah State Prison named Al Carlisle. Basically, the judge sends these convicted criminals to Al, the psychiatrist, and says, "Hey, should we send him to prison or release him on probation?" The main question being, is he or is he not violent? So
obviously probation.
That's what they needed to figure out. The time you would do is anywhere from 1 to 15 years. So it's a pretty big fucking window. Al remembered his first time meeting Ted. He came, his hair was done nice, his clothes were ironed. He walked over smiling to Al before putting his hand out and saying, "Hi, I'm Ted." Now Bundy would go on to say the psychiatrist was a total asshole. Which is funny, isn't it? Mm-hmm. That's besides the girl you tried to kidnap, that's the only one he really talks shit on is his psychiatrist.
Is it because he saw Ted for who he really was, or?
I think it's because he didn't believe his bullshit. You'll see, there's some stuff, but because he's an asshole.
This fucking asshole, he actually sees me. I can't woo him like everybody else.
Al would say Bundy always painted this perfect family picture of his mom, his grandparents, and they all said the same about Ted. Now, other girlfriends came forward, and they had a different story. One girlfriend said they went swimming together and he pushed her head underwater and held her there for a long, long time. He would let her up to get some air and shove her down again and again. Now, remember how I told you there's so many stories involving his dad and how he found out his mom was his mom? Yeah, we're kind of going back to part 1. Mm-hmm. He told his psychiatrist, Al, when he was 14, he found a birth certificate in a trunk, and where the line father was, it said unknown, and that's how he found out he was illegitimate. It's very contradicting to a lot of the other things I saw. And the psychiatrist, I watched an interview with him, like he said this word for word. Some other sources say his mom is who wanted to leave him. They said she left him at that home for unwed mothers, but the grandpa made her go back and get the baby. When Ted is asked about these things, no matter what the story is, he says, that's really no problem. It didn't bother him at all. This is when he says, quote, this legitimacy issue is for amateur psychologists. I mean, it's just so stupid. It bugs the shit out of me. I don't know what to do about it. How many people, in fact, find out they're illegitimate and even adopt it at a later age? It's normal. Al says he sees this and it's just denial. But there's really no reports or anything about him having a bad upbringing. He also does think Ted suffered psychological or physical abuse as a child, but again, it's not put anywhere, and keyword is he thinks. Ted never said this happened. There's nothing showing it. I think the psychiatrist is just trying to figure out why the fuck is this kid like this, you know?
He had that sketchy-ass grandfather, though.
Oh, yeah. So they're finishing up a session one day, and Ted, he looks at Al and he says, Al, do you think I killed those girls that they suspect me out in the Northwest? And Al says he never even mentioned these killings to Ted. That wasn't his point. But he looks at Bundy and says, Ted, I don't know, but I think if you did do it, you'll do it again. And he wasn't wrong. Bundy then looked at Al, turned around, and walked back to his jail cell. So he didn't deny it. When Al submitted his report to the judge, pretty much his report said, hey, I don't know if Bundy's violent or not. I can't say you should keep him. I can't say you should let him out. I cannot confirm he would be a risk if placed on probation. So February 1976, Ted stood trial for Carol's kidnapping. In the end, the judge would place him in Utah State Prison for something called an intermediate term, so it's specifically under Utah state law, so he can serve anywhere from 1 to 15 years. And he was sentenced to 1 year in Utah State Prison. Like, really 1 fucking year for kidnapping and impersonating a police officer, which you think if anything, they'd go crazy about him impersonating a cop. I think, honestly, they'd be more upset about that than the kidnapping, just because it's law enforcement. But
so they do this all while they're still building the bigger case against them, I'm sure, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, in October, this gives them a little bit of time to start building those cases. In October, Ted was found hiding in the bushes of his prison yard, carrying an escape kit, including road maps, airline schedules, and a social security card. So he was trying to escape. He spent several weeks in solitary confinement. Now, I don't know why he tried to escape or thought about it, whatever you want to call it.
Some people can't handle it.
But he also knew they were looking at him for those murder charges, so that too. Later that month, Colorado would charge him with Karen Campbell's murder, the nurse who went missing from the hotel while on vacation with the kids. They would charge him with her murder because they found strands of her hair in his car. They also found a brochure at his house for the Wildwood Inn that she stayed at. They found those gas receipts, placing him in that area. And an eyewitness would come forward saying they saw Ted in the elevator before she went missing.
They're cooking.
They would charge him with first-degree murder, which carries the death penalty with it. Ted was so sure he thought he could win in Colorado that he told the judge, I'd go, because they were like, okay, we got to get extradited to Colorado now to face these murder charges. And usually you go to court and it's kind of like, all right, we're going to send you there, you know. But Ted was pretty much like, let me go. Let's not do court. Let's do nothing. Just extradite me there. Send me over. One of his lawyers says when he came back to Colorado, he changed a great deal, especially pertaining to the legal system. This same lawyer said once in Colorado, he got a little taste of Bundy's true self. Pretty much Bundy got into it with a guard. We aren't sure what the guard said to him, but he made a comment and it pissed off Bundy, and Bundy snapped. He was red-faced and shaking, yelling at the guard while he berated him. He was showing his teeth, like baring his teeth. He's just snapping. And like I said, I don't know what happened, but the lawyer made the comment that they were treating him like everyone else, like a criminal. And Ted did not like that. He didn't like being seen as not special, and he didn't like being seen as a criminal.
That's who he was, though.
Exactly. The lawyer would also say that Bundy was one of his least favorite clients. He was very egotistical and only spoke about himself and how unfair his poor little life was. He wouldn't discuss any cases at this point. He'd say the convos with Bundy were vapid and devoid of any context.
Wow.
On June 7th, 1977, Ted, he was transported to Aspen for his preliminary hearing along with his defense attorney. They took a morning recess before the preliminary hearing, and you're going to want to pay attention to this one.
I am paying attention.
They took a morning recess before the preliminary hearing. It was early in the morning. Ted was in a law library doing research, which is just like an area of books in the back of the courtroom. a common practice attorneys do to look more into their case, laws, paperwork, and so on. While he did this, his attorney actually stepped out into the hall and he was chatting with a deputy that was keeping an eye on Bundy, and they were smoking a cigarette in the hallway, which, just saying, that's kind of weird. And Bundy stayed quiet as he walked over to the second-story window, opened it, looked out into this cute small town with the mountains in the background. At this moment, this was what he's been waiting for, his chance to escape, and he wasn't going to let it slip by him. So he jumped down 2 stories, 25 feet, until his feet landed on the grass, and he took off. Side note, it is reported...
What?
Yup.
I didn't know about that either.
He escaped. It's reported he injured his ankle, but surprisingly, he didn't break any bones, and he was able to just take the fuck off.
Well, if that doesn't scream I'm guilty, then I don't know
what
does.
I think I wrote that later on in the comments, or, the document. As this is happening, because his defense attorney and the deputy who are supposed to be keeping an eye on him, they're in the hallway, right? Mm-hmm. And pretty much someone's like, I just saw a man jump out of the second floor window, one of the secretaries in the bottom level. So the cops are like, what the fuck's going on? And the sheriff has like an ultimatum against Bundy, which I 100% agree with, whatever. But the sheriff comes up to his defense attorney who's smoking in the hallway and he says, where's Bundy? In turn, the defense attorney, he thought the sheriff was joking. So he replied, well, it's not really my turn to watch him. And the courthouse erupts. People are running in and out looking all over for him. As this goes on, someone from the first floor is pretty much going around telling everyone what happened. She said she saw someone jump out of the window and take off. And as the courthouse looks for him, roadblocks get set up. It's such a tiny town, there was literally only 2 roads you could go in and out of the town on. Mm-hmm. And as they were trying to do the roadblocks, Ted was headed up in the fucking mountains. They didn't find Ted, but they did arrest 9 other people for other issues. They confiscated over 200 pounds of marijuana, according to their local news. The 70s. And the next day, 150 policemen, 5 bloodhounds, along with quite a few civilians went on the hunt for Bundy. And I mean, there's videos of these civilians, and like they have, I don't know what it's called. You might know more about guns and stuff. They had like the thing across their chest with all the bullets. And like a shotgun. Like these civilians are decked out in gear to go hunting this man.
Oh shit.
During Bundy's escape, he actually left a yellow sweater behind, and the dogs sniffed it because they have 5 bloodhounds with them. And they caught a scent, but once they reached a bridge, they lost the trail. So my thought is he probably went through the water. That's what most people do to lose scent trails, especially if there was a bridge. There was no reason for it to stop if he took the bridge. He eventually found and broke into a hunting cabin. He stole clothes, food, a rifle, and he stayed there for a day or 2. At this point, the FBI gets involved. He's an interstate fugitive fleeing from justice, and they could not let that happen. The FBI joining was a great thing, too. They had more bodies, more equipment, more manpower, vehicles, helicopters. Even then, they weren't much help. They didn't find out or learn anything. The locals didn't already know. Everyone's pretty much on the same page. The next day, he left the cabin and kept going south to a small town nearby. But then he got lost in the forest for 2 days. He wandered aimlessly through the mountains, missing trails that would have honestly took him to his destination. Mm-hmm. He claims it rained really bad one night and a sleet storm happened and he almost froze to death, and it put him into a sense of shock.
He's a serial killer, not a ranger.
Yeah, he's not a survivalist, that's for sure. He would say that his mind got weak and he was so disoriented he didn't even know what to do. Eventually, he made his way back into Aspen since he was cold and hungry and just said, well, let's see what happens. So he goes back to the town he just escaped from.
Wow.
Yeah. Also, a photo was released to the city to identify Bundy, of course. So right before he escaped, he shaved off his beard, his long hair, and the photo they used had long hair and a long beard. Again, concealing his appearance. On the 6th day of his escape, he stole a vehicle that was in town. It was left unlocked with keys in the ignition because the 70s. He was headed out of town, but decided, I'm sleep deprived, I'm cold, I'm in constant pain from my ankle. So he stayed in town for some reason. While he was driving around, he then was spotted by 2 police officers, and he drove like a maniac, because like I said, this is what the fuck he does. I don't know why. He's driving like a maniac in a stolen vehicle. Mm-hmm. Because Bundy has no chill, can't stop, won't stop. He was swerving in and out of lanes, so they pulled him over, and he got sent right back to prison. So he was on the run for 6 days. When recaptured, he had blisters all over his feet. He looked weak and frail. In 6 days, he lost almost 25 pounds. So that's how you know he was not eating, like nothing. Once his recapture, the courtroom was packed. People were like, what the fuck? Who is this man? What's going... Everyone wanted to be there. Bundy walked in looking like flesh and bones, honestly, but still had that charismatic, I've done no wrong smile plastered on his face. Back in jail, Bundy would ignore all advice of friends and legal advisors to stay put. The case against him, already weak at best, was deteriorating steadily.
Why?
A more rational defendant might have realized that he stood a good chance of acquittal, and that beating the murder charges in Colorado would help in future cases. After all, they only had circumstantial evidence and a shaky eyewitness. Because there's no definite evidence, really. It's all circumstantial.
I'm sure all them killings stopped once he got in jail, too.
Yeah. Plus, he had very little time left to finish serving the Carroll conviction. Like, at this point, you're almost done serving your you're almost done serving your sentence for kidnapping Carroll.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just stay the fucking jail. What are you doing? Now, had Ted persevered, he most likely, honestly, would have been a free man. Needless to say, his defense told him, stay the fuck put. Ted's excuse for escaping, one might ask, well, he was tired of prison. Because, of course, they're like, you're on the run, you look guilty, why'd you leave? He said he was just tired of prison. He saw many opportunities over the last several months where he could literally just up and walk right out the front doors, so he did just that. But instead of a door, he just used a window. On top of that, when he described this escape, he wasn't embarrassed that he was recaught or upset at how this makes him look guiltier, but instead he was proud of it. His psychiatrist said he talked about it like a child telling their father, I've hit my first home run. He was clearly proud of his escape, even if it didn't last long. He would say over and over again how it was quite the experience. His defense lawyer would say how Bundy would keep commenting on how lucky the people were to catch him and how stupid the people were who caught him. And in the same breath, he'd say how he was intellectually superior to them all, but, like, you're the one in jail, dumbass. Like,
right.
What are you talking about? They're on the outside, you're on the inside. Even if you were smarter than them in any way, they caught you again. You got caught twice now because you're driving like a fucking idiot, but you're so smart, right? It's just his ego. Just his ego.
Even when he's in a position where he's at a disadvantage, his ego just won't let him feel that way.
Yes, exactly. So Bundy would later say when diagnosing himself, the kind of boldness that we see from this time to time from this personality, aka himself, it's probably just being willing to take that risk, or perhaps not even seeing the risk since they're outcome by that boldness and desire to accomplish a particular thing. I think we can say he felt almost as if he was immune from detection, as if he were in some dimension that he just kind of like could walk through doors. He had some supernatural powers that no matter how much he fucked up, nothing could go wrong. End quote. And that's him just talking about himself.
It's interesting.
It's just, I state these little things, and sometimes I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I just state them because it's very interesting to look inside his mind and how he perceives himself and talks about himself.
He thought he could do no wrong.
Yeah.
Or he was just untouchable.
Yeah.
He could always get out of these situations.
Yeah. It's just crazy. So, December 30th, 1977, so the day before New Year's Eve, a guard brought Bundy his food and left it for him finishing his nightly duties. The next morning, he went to check on Bundy, who appeared to be sleeping in his cot, but his food was still in there, completely untouched.
Oh my God.
So the guard pulls back the covers, trying to make sure Bundy's alive,
Pillows.
Of course. And when he pulled back his blanket, there was nothing but a pile of law books where Ted should have been. Now, let's take a step back and rewind a little bit, right? Because where the fuck's Ted now? Ted's still in prison waiting for trial for the murder of Karen Campbell and facing an escape charge now on top of that. Now, they told Ted stay put after his first escape, but again, Bundy can't stop, won't stop. One day before his bed full of books incident, the guard caught Ted Bundy hiding in the bushes of his prison yard with an escape kit. That's what we were talking about. So this is literally the day after. So Bundy, he got right to work assembling a new escape plan that would start with starving himself. He'd actually dropped down to 140 pounds just by not eating, and while he was starving himself, he acquired a detailed floor plan of the Garfield County Jail and a hacksaw blade from other inmates. He also accumulated $500 in cash smuggled in over a 6-month period by his little fucking fangirls. During the evenings, while other prisoners were showering, Bundy would slowly saw a 1 foot by 1 foot hole through the steel reinforcing bars in his cell's ceiling with the saw he got from another prisoner. Having lost almost 40 pounds, he was able to wiggle right through that tiny opening and explore the crawl space above in the weeks that followed. Allegedly, multiple reports from fellow prisoners claim they told the guards, Ted's up in the fucking ceiling. Like, multiple people told them there's movement in the ceiling and it's fucking Ted Bundy crawling around there like a little fucking rat. But they were never investigated. Like,
what?
They didn't investigate it. Ted's just like, they're probably like, oh, Ted's just in the fucking ceiling again. And they're like, okay, guys, you're so funny. Like, what the fuck?
Wow.
It's not like he already escaped once, you know? And he's on murder conviction. You have him on hold for murder.
Nope. It ain't that hard to confirm that story. Just go to his cell when they're talking about it. And if he's not in there, he went through a fucking hole that he cut out. And
or
got
my
into
thing's,
the ducts.
He's going in and out. He's testing the waters for a while. Go look. There has to be a fucking mark of him cutting this hole in the ceiling. After his escape, of course, the prison would claim they had someone coming in to fix it and weld it shut to seal the hole. But Ted escaped before then. If that was the case, shouldn't you have maybe moved the accused serial killer who escaped already to a more secure cell for the time being?
Right.
Why would you just leave him in there? And also that should have led to searching his cell. Like, why is there a fucking hole in the roof? How'd you do this? You would have searched the cell. You would have found the saw. You would have found his map to escape.
Mm-hmm.
You would have found probably more. Where's your phone? Look up Ted Bundy hole in ceiling prison escape. I just want you to see how small the hole is. We have it on Patreon, but Ty's looking it up right now to see what Bundy's cell looked like and how he fit through it.
That's ridiculous. That's crazy.
Yeah. Do you see the top bunk with all the books?
Yep.
So he stacked law books on the bottom bunk, which if it's the same photo I'm thinking of, you'll see the books in his bed. He put the rest of the books on the top bunk and then used that to climb into the ceiling.
How did they let that happen?
Bro.
I can't believe the jail was constructed this way.
Yeah. So they said that jail was very old school and outdated. Like just a lock and key, cells, you know.
Nowadays, it's block walls all around you.
Mm-hmm.
You're not cutting through a block wall. The fucking ceiling's probably a block wall.
Yeah. And once you hear where he ended up, it's kind of scary. So what happened was Bundy, because you're probably like, I wonder what really pushed this. Bundy eventually filed a motion for a change of venue from Denver on December 23rd. So this is about a week before his second escape.
Mm-hmm.
The Aspen trial judge said, okay, you know, I'll grant your request for a change of venue, but not to Denver, where Bundy requested, but to Colorado Springs, where juries were historically more hostile towards murder suspects. And I think Bundy was like,
good.
Fuck. Like, I gotta get out of here. So on the night of December 30th, the day before New Year's Eve, when most of the jail staff was actually gone and nonviolent prisoners, they were on furlough with their families for the holiday, Ted's dinner arrived, and soon after that, he got to work. He made it look like he was sleeping still. He placed those books on the bed, piled more books on the top, like I said, and crawled out. He crawled through and eventually broke through the level above him, which was the floor of the apartments the jailers lived in. So he just popped into a jailer's room.
What do you mean
Luckily,
a jailer?
Like the guards, prison guards, COs.
Oh, okay.
They're called jailers back then.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, outdated term.
I was like, another inmate?
No. So he crawled through the floor, and eventually it broke through the level above him, which was the floor that one of the correctional officers lived in. Because I don't think COs are living in jails anymore either.
Right, that's very
So he broke into the apartment, which, thank God, that guy was actually out that evening with his wife celebrating the holidays, because who knows what Bundy would have done to get out of there.
Uh-huh.
So he changed into some of the jailer's street clothes from his closet and walked right out the front of those fucking prison doors without anyone noticing.
No key cards, no security clearance.
I know, not in the 70s. There's probably not even cameras, right? I don't even think cameras were a thing back then.
Way too easy. Way too easy.
I just know he felt like a god. His ego, like, I know he was probably like, holy crap.
Is it was his beliefs in himself like a superpower? You know how if you think that way?
I just said that. Yeah, I just quoted him saying that. He thought he had superpowers, like he could walk through walls.
But you know, okay, so you know how like your mindset can change how you view the world? Mm-hmm. If you think that you're on top of the world, you can get away with everything, you see those opportunities in every moment of your life, because he really thought he could get away with everything.
I mean, he fucking did.
He just did it. He didn't sit in there like, oh, I'm stuck in here forever. So like he never sees those opportunities. But like
he got away with
that's insane.
Kidnapping, raping, and murdering more women than I can think of right now. Escaped once already. and just escaped again. Like,
that's crazy.
I know I would never be him, but if I was him, I feel like I'd be like, yeah, like I'd probably be cracked out on adrenaline, honestly.
It's the power in believing in yourself.
Yeah.
Just used it for the wrong reasons.
Don't stop believing. Okay. The second escape was a nightmare to say the least, especially compared to the first.
Because there's barely any guards there.
And no one knew when he left or how much of a head start he had either. Like the other building, someone was like, this man just jumped off the second story. Like, let's get him.
There wasn't any guards there?
A lot of guards were on holiday. There was some there, but they didn't even check on him until next morning. A lot of guards were out. I said it a little bit ago. He waited purposely because a lot of criminals are on furlough for the holidays, so criminals are visiting home. And a lot of the guards are out on holiday too. So the prison was kind of empty.
Insane.
So he had a head start, and he had hours of a head start. We don't really know when he left exactly. So Bundy, he stole a car. He drove eastward out of Glenwood Springs, because remind you, he's all the way like northwest, right? Like Washington, Utah, Colorado, all that on the west coast. Stole a car, got a bus, caught a plane, eventually ended up all the way on the opposite side in Florida.
Wow.
He got on a train, airplane, car, bus, like every form of transportation, and made it to Florida. Now, Carol Duranch, the witness who got away from him, the one he tried to kidnap, was terrified, especially after his outburst towards her in court. But even more so, she was worried he was probably going to do it again. Like, find another girl.
Yeah.
And honestly, I watched her interviews, and I'm assuming she was worried because she was a young woman, but she said her main concern was what would happen if he got a hold of someone else. She said she knew this wouldn't end well. Law enforcement, they called Liz, they called Ted's mom, his friends, and threatened them all with arrest as a fear tactic.
Just in case they see him or
yep, that's what they said.
Him.
They said we gave him fear tactics because, they gotta find him. Again, the FBI joined the hunt. And I can't imagine what they're thinking at this point. They're probably like, guys, what the fuck? How's he just escaping your prisons? Like, why do we have to keep stepping in to help? Now, while everyone looked out west for him, like I said, he was on the East Coast, and he was on the East Coast in Florida. And this is where he would actually stay until he was recaptured. I guess he finally learned what happens when you give out your real name. And instead of continuing this trend, he started going by the alias Chris Hagen. He got a room at a boarding house near the Florida State University, FSU, because he's obsessed with college girls, of course. And being a psychopathic murderer on the run, it made it a bit hard for him to find employment. I almost said unemployment. It not only limited his work since he was on the run, but also made it so he didn't have the proper paperwork to apply for jobs. Ted did say he intentionally didn't do crimes. Cough, cough, murder. Let's call it as it is.
Had to lay low for a little bit.
Yeah. So he didn't commit crimes, knowing he could probably remain free and undetected in Florida indefinitely if he didn't attract the attention of police. And honestly, he probably would have. He did apply to a job at a construction site, but that fell apart when they asked for identification, of course. He reverted to his old habits of stealing. He turned to shoplifting, stealing money or credit cards from women's wallets. He said he was a big fan of finding women's wallets when they left them in shopping carts at local grocery stores. Some stories say, which also, like, how often is this happening? Some stories say he kept getting denied by women at bars and clubs due to his age. And I don't know, you're getting older, Ted. Just an older, creepy guy alone trying to pick up college girls at a bar is not a good look.
Yeah, he's getting out of his prime.
Exactly. You're pushing, like, your 30s, my guy. Now, we are about to go over the Chi Omega attacks. But I do want this spree he's going to go on to flow smoothly so we can understand the frenzy he was in. So first I'll go over the 4 women who were attacked and then what occurred. First, there was Margaret Elizabeth Bowman, a 21-year-old who joined the sorority because her grandmother was in it. She was a junior art history major who was described as very religious, sweet, and easy to get along with. On the evening prior to her murder, both Bowman and her sorority sister Lisa Levy, who would also be attacked, had been at Sherrod's, a disco-like bar that was located right next door to their house. But whether Bundy saw them there or not is unknown. But I wouldn't be surprised if he did and stalked them after. He was also at this bar the day he killed them, which also makes me think he was watching them. According to the Tallahassee Democrat, on January 17th, 1978, Margaret was actually invited to go out for a late-night burger at an all-night diner on the evening she was killed, but she turned them down, deciding to go to bed instead, which is where she'd be attacked by Bundy.
Oh, man.
It's just crazy one small occurrence like that can really determine.
In your life,
yeah, a small. I'd rather go to bed than go out. The second victim is going to be Lisa Ann Levy. She was 20 years old and played the flute in high school. At FSU, she majored in fashion merchandising and worked at a shop near campus. When police arrived at her sorority house, she would actually be the first victim found dead. Let's dig into the Chi Omega sorority slaughtering. On January 15th, 1978, Bundy entered FSU's Chi Omega sorority house through a rear door with a faulty back door lock.
Of course.
He was carrying a cut oak tree limb that he found outside of the sorority house. Just to give a visual, it's basically a circular log cut up for fire. At around 2:30 p.m., he bludgeoned Margaret Elizabeth Bowman with that piece of oak-fired wood as she slept. Then he garroted her with a nylon stocking and eventually sexually assaulted her, dead or dying body. The police say he was organized, but with each victim, he grew more and more frenzied. In this first victim's room, he would actually leave a bloody handprint by her bed. She was unconscious, but her cause of death would be strangulation with pantyhose that were knotted right in front of her windpipe. And that's how they would find her. Next, he went down the hall and entered the bedroom of 20-year-old Lisa Jeanette Levy. Medical psychologists discovered that she had been beaten on the head with a log as she slept, sexually assaulted with a hairspray bottle, and then strangled. Additionally, they found bite marks on her buttocks, and one of her nipples had been bitten, and it was bitten so bad it was almost completely severed from the rest of her breast. She, like Margaret, would die before she woke up, which is really the only light we can try to cling to in this dark tunnel. In the bedroom next door, he would attack Kathy Kleiner, age 21, and Karen Chandler, also age 21, as they slept, so the two girls shared a room. The assailant tripped over a chest that was in between the girls' twin beds, waking Kathy, and Ted went berserk. He beat her with that piece of firewood, which left her jaw broken. She had a concussion, skull fracture, broken arm, and a broken finger. He also broke her jaw and deeply lacerated her shoulder. After Bundy was done brutally assaulting Kathy, he moved on to her roommate Karen, who was sleeping beside her in the other bed. Bundy knocked out 4 of her teeth and beat her so severely that he broke her jaw and her right arm. Karen Chandler suffered a concussion, broken jaw, loss of teeth, and a crushed finger. The two did share a bedroom and would survive his attacks. Kathy would say they only survived because an automobile's headlights illuminating the interior of their room frightened the attacker away.
Oh, shit. Well, they got lucky.
This was all done within 15 minutes.
How many victims in 15 minutes?
2 dead, 2 alive. All within earshot or more of 30 witnesses who said nothing. Because it's a sorority house. A big one.
They didn't hear it, so...
I'm sorry, who heard nothing. I said, didn't I? Yeah, 30 witnesses who heard nothing.
Wow.
And he's not even done. After leaving the sorority house and attacking the 4 women, Ted broke into a basement apartment 8 blocks away and attacked 21-year-old FSU student Cheryl Thomas. Cheryl was a member of the school's dance team that was actually her major, and he ended up breaking her jaw in 2 places, dislocated her shoulder, and he fractured her skull in 5 places. She was left with permanent deafness in her left ear and equilibrium damage that actually ended her dancing career, sadly, which was what she was majoring in.
So she survived.
She would survive, thanks to a neighbor hearing some odd noises coming from her apartment, and the neighbor would say, quote, "It sounds like someone is being really beaten up over there." She called the cops. Now, the sheriff, he was already on scene at the sorority house, and then he got the call about the other woman. And he said, could this really be the same person? Would he really just go to another location? And he thought, no. In all my studies of criminology crime, criminals and their methods, they're on the lam when this happens. They're gone. They don't want to be around. They certainly ain't going to commit another crime. But, of course, he sent another officer to go check it out. He didn't leave the crime scene. It was only a few blocks away, after all. But he would realize he was wrong. Bundy could not stop himself at all. He was frenzied and brutalized all these women. The last woman he attacked, when they got there, police found a semen stain on the bed, and he actually found pantyhose that Bundy was wearing as a mask containing 2 of his hairs. Now, Captain Burl Peacock of the Tallahassee Police Department was perplexed. Who the hell would do this? He went to look at 2 women who had died because, remember, 3 survived that night. So Bundy, in a span of an hour, attacked 5 women. He tried to kill 5 women. He only killed 2, but still, that's insane to me.
Oh, jeez.
Now, the police captain, he did look at the women who had passed away, of course, because, remember, 3 did survive, and he noticed 2 very distinguishable bite marks overlapping each other on her left butt cheek. When asked by journalists, who are you looking for, all he said was a very disturbed, sick individual, because that's literally all they had to go on. We're just looking for a disturbed, sick person. Not much to work with, but... So after this attack, everyone's on edge. Sororities locked their doors at night, and even during the day, which wasn't normal for them. They traveled in groups. They had their boyfriends escort them around, which I would do the same thing. I'd do the same thing now. Yep. There is this photo of the Chi Omega house after the attack, and you see just the hall of where all the doors are, and this is the day after. All their suitcases are packed and outside those doors. Everyone's getting the fuck out of Dodge.
Damn, like, what are they thinking? Like,
I mean, he broke into their house and murdered their sisters, 2 of them, and attacked others. I'd be scared too. I mean, if my parents were close by, I'd go stay with them. I'd stay with someone else. He's clearly attacking these women.
Oh, right, and they didn't catch him, so they're probably like, this motherfucker might come back and do the same shit.
On February 8th, Bundy drove east to Jacksonville in a stolen FSU van. He would approach 14-year-old Leslie Parmenter, the daughter of the Jacksonville Police Department's chief of detectives. And Bundy would identify himself as Richard Burton, fire department. But when Leslie's older brother arrived and confronted Bundy, Bundy took the fuck off. And also, this would have been the second police chief's daughter he murdered if he got her.
Yeah.
Because he killed that other one. Now, Ted's last and one of his youngest victims would be a girl named Kimberly Leach, who was born October 28th, 1965, to parents Thomas and Frida, who referred to her as their sunshine. That afternoon on February 9th, he backtracked 60 miles westward to Lake City. At Lake City Junior High the following morning, he located Kimberly. 12-year-old Kimberly asked to leave class to go retrieve her purse she left somewhere, around the school. Mm-hmm. And of course she was allowed to, but she never returned to class. Ted claimed he lured her over by asking her for directions and then abducted her. 8 weeks later, after an intensive search, and this would happen when Bundy's already arrested, they would find her partially mummified remains, and he threw her pretty much in a deserted area right next to a pig pen. She had been sexually assaulted before having her throat cut and her private mutilated with a knife at 12 years old. The state prosecutor said the worst thing a prosecutor can do is get involved personally in these cases. And that day, when they found Kim, he was there, and it was the first time he cried in his whole adult life, he'd say. He said she was sweet, obedient, intelligent little girl who reminded him of his very own daughter.
But I feel for the police chief, too, because that was his daughter.
Oh, the one last episode, yeah.
Well, this is the daughter they just killed? He was...
No. After he killed, attacked the 5 women, he found a 15-year-old who was the police chief's daughter, but her brother came and scared him away, and he found another girl, the 12-year-old Kimberly.
Oh.
So I said
I said
if he killed her, that would have been 2 police chief's daughter.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, you're fine. It's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot.
In February, with insufficient cash to pay his overdue rent and a growing suspicion that police were closing in on him, because I'm sure his brain is really
How do you even
fucked.
get an apartment with no fucking identification or...
I heard he was living with a couple guys from college, like sharing an apartment. That's what I saw. Don't quote me.
Oh.
I don't know if that's the last place he was before he was arrested, but when he first got to FSU, he was staying with a couple other guys. So it was probably like he found some guys, used his charisma to be cool with them, moved in. Yeah, doesn't need anything. Mm-hmm. So Bundy ended up stealing a car. Do you know what kind of car he stole?
A buggy.
A red one. He stole a red Volkswagen Bug and fled Tallahassee, driving westward across the Florida Panhandle. 3 days later, at around 1 a.m., he was stopped by Pensacola police officer David Lee near the Alabama state line after a once and orange chick, I don't know why I said it like that, showed his Volkswagen Beetle was stolen. And I don't know why this man just stealing Beetles.
I think he stole as many cars as he has victims.
Oh, probably.
That man is always stealing a car.
He's always... Remember that was his issue in, like, his teen years? That was the first couple times he got arrested when he was 18.
Was it?
Yeah, he was stealing, like, ski equipment, like, and selling it and stealing shit. I don't know, man. Of course, he was driving erratically when they caught him now, too. 3 times. Let's say he got arrested 3 times. 2 are his escapes, but he gets rearrested, right? Mm-hmm. All 3 times you're caught because you're driving like an imbecile.
Yeah.
Because you're driving recklessly. When he was stopped, he told officers he was a law student at FSU, and God, he didn't look like himself at all. He looked, I think it's the last thing I showed you, had like a handlebar mustache.
Still kept that weight off too?
Yep. He had short hair. He's always been kind of lean, but I feel like he was a little, I don't want to say thick, and he wasn't muscly, but a little broader. He had short hair, and he had this handlebar mustache. Found him in possession of over 20 stolen credit cards, mostly belonging to co-eds, and 3 sets of school identification cards belonging to women who went to the college. So he's just stealing everyone's shit. When the officer finally told Ted he was under arrest for a stolen vehicle and driving erratically, Ted kicked Officer Lee's legs out from under him and took off running. Lee fired 2 warning shots, then gave chase and tackled Bundy. The 2 strangled over Lee's gun, but eventually Lee got his gun, pistol whipped Ted, and detained him.
Good shit.
Also found in his car, for the sake of the story, were a pair of dark-rimmed, non-prescription glasses, a stolen TV set that he also would be charged with, and a pair of plaid slacks, later identified as the disguise worn by his undercover persona from the fire department. As Lee transported his suspect to jail, unaware that he had just arrested one of the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives, he heard Bundy say, "I wish you had killed me."
I wish you would have killed him too. Shit.
I think it'd be way too easy. And we wouldn't have known, him admitting to all these people who died.
True.
His face was plastered all over the news because whoever this man was, he reacted with such violence to not be arrested and refused to give his name. So they didn't know who he was for a while.
Oh, wow.
Which I did not know this part. I did not know this part specifically until I dug into his tapes and interviews and court documents. I was like, oh my God, because he's going to court and they don't know who the fuck he is for a while. As he was held in Tallahassee, he eventually gave police his age and name. I'm 29-year-old law student Kenneth Misner of Tallahassee. And he even had ID cards to prove it. Now, the real Kenneth Miser called the police and said, that's not fucking me. I didn't do any of this. Like, I'm here. I don't know who that guy is. I'm him. I'm Kenneth. Remember, it's the 70s, and a license in the time was literally a small, tiny piece of paper, not laminated, that you fill out with a typewriter.
Huh.
So it was very, very easy to make fake identification back then, at least, licenses and whatnot. There wasn't even photos on them. So very easy to make.
See?
Very easy
get
to
away
falsify.
with that shit in 2026.
Oh, yeah, no. Now you got the laminate, you got the special symbols, you got stars, you got the eagle.
There's too much shit for a crazy serial killer to exist nowadays.
Well, and this is exactly why they've done all those steps. People are just forging IDs.
Yeah.
So it's crazy how things over time progress and always get better. Well, for the most part. At this point, they knew Bundy wasn't who he said he was, and he's still refusing to identify himself. So this time, Bundy was arrested again as a nameless man on charges of possession of stolen property, an automobile, possession of a stolen TV, possession of stolen credit cards on 21 counts, possession of stolen tags on an automobile, battery on a police officer, and resisting arrest with violence. In court, after his charges were read, his public defender would state he is entitled bond on these charges, which he would have been, and the judge replied, we can't bail him out if we don't even know who he is. If he won't tell us who he is, who would the principal of the bond go to? How can he bail out right now?
Right.
We cannot do that. To which his defender said, all I know is what this man tells me. I don't know if he gave you guys a name or not, which, you're the fucking attorney, you do know that.
Yeah.
He's certainly entitled to a bond in any event, I would think. To which the judge said, the defender, he literally said, you just heard that he will not give us a name, you're standing in the same room as us. And the name he gave was a lie, and he refuses to give his real name, so until we figure out who he is, there's no way he can be bailed out. Which the defense just says, all right.
Makes
the whole
sense.
interaction, I watched the interview, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I mean, I know he's doing his job, whatever. He's got a job to do.
If you want to play these games and not give your name, then you don't get the
bond, yeah. It's just he was doing whatever he could to get the bond, because he knew if he gave his real name, he was fucked,
Yeah. He doesn't get the luxury of
Yeah, that's not an
getting
option
bond.
for you.
Yeah.
At this point, they wanted to figure out who he was before court began and his new charges, and they focused on the red Volkswagen Beetle. There was no hair fibers, nothing in it that could help, but they did know this vehicle was stolen by a Chi Omega house. So they thought this might also be our first potential suspect in those murders. So they all, and by all I mean Tallahassee detectives Steve Bodiford and Don Patchen, went to Pensacola to question this mystery man, Ted, about the 2 Florida State University co-eds who were murdered a month before. They didn't need a name to question a suspect. Also, at this point, Bundy had been on the run for a little over 45 days. The interview with him didn't pan out to anything, except it showed his character more. They said he started to play mind games, he was a very careful thinker, and he says what he wants to, while being very careful about how he says it. And at this point, poor little Ted is heard on recordings about how his mind and body are just getting dragged through the dirt and he can't take it. He, quote, needs a friend, needs somebody close, someone in front of him to talk to. He wanted someone to sit down and help him get over this. He was having a bad reaction to being back in custody. So he finally would identify himself in exchange for a phone call to his girlfriend, Liz.
I hope she don't try and do anything for this man.
February 21st, 1978. Liz would eventually be interviewed and questioned about the phone call that she had with Bundy so they could use it in court. I did listen to the tapes, of course, and she does sound like a very shy kind of, very meek, I hate that word, but very meek person. And in this case, I mean, I probably listened to more recorded audio, honestly, than anything in my life ever. And Liz said he called. He said he was in custody, and she said where, he said Florida. And then repeated over and over again, this was going to be bad when it broke. The story of what he did and linking him to the Omega killings, he knew what would come from it. And he also knew tomorrow the story would drop. Tomorrow they were going to plaster all over the news. Ted Bundy's caught, he's found, he probably did all these killings. And he wanted to warn her. So right away, Liz asked if he's referring to the murder of the sorority girls in Florida, which he said he wouldn't talk about it. Bundy would go on and say to her he wished they could talk about things without anyone listening. About why he was the way he was.
Can I say, I feel like he only goes back to her when he wants to just, he wants someone to believe his image, so he goes back to his sweet old little girlfriend so he could just reinforce this, cool, calm, collected guy that he is, and she'll believe me. She's the only one that believes me, and I just need someone to talk to, and whammy.
I was going to say, I think it's just the whammy thing, and out of everyone in the world, I mean, he had people coming up to him saying, Ted, this picture looks like you. His name's Ted. He drives your car. Mm-hmm. Liz is still dating him, so he's probably like, this idiot. I mean, honestly, she'll believe whatever I tell her. It's someone to play the whammy narrative.
I feel like she just reinforces that idea of himself, so it's like, she's like his little ego boost.
Yeah. No, that's a great way to put it. His little ego boost. Yeah, no, that's right. I almost feel like I said booga boost.
He can keep up the lie, and she's not going to question it.
Yeah. Nope.
Tell him otherwise, and it just makes him feel good, like, oh yeah, I can still do this, you know what I mean? I can still woo my way and trick somebody into thinking I
still got it, type of thing. Yeah. So he would go on and say he wished that he could talk without anyone listening to their conversation, and he would explain why he was the way he was. And Liz said, are you telling me you're sick? And he got pissed, super defensive, and told her to back off, and then he hung up.
What?
Yeah. So he called again a few days later after he calmed down and probably realized he needed someone to talk to.
She's the only person he got at this point.
Honest, and his mama. Well, he has a mob of fangirls who
Oh, yeah. They have his babies.
One did.
Huh?
I literally was like, should I say that or not?
No fucking way.
He has one daughter out there named Rose Bundy in the world right now.
No fucking way.
Yep.
No fucking way.
Swear to God. It wasn't even on some conjugal visit stuff. They didn't even do that. We'll get there. I literally was about to bite my tongue and I was like, I gotta drop this bomb right now. So he called again a few days later saying he wanted to continue talking about what they were talking about. He said he was sick and that he was just consumed by something he didn't understand and that he couldn't contain it. He tried to maintain a normal life for so long and he just couldn't do it. He said he was preoccupied with this force. In my opinion and detectives, Ted knew the jig is up. So what excuse can I start using to try and support myself in some way? And being mentally ill or sick, as he says, was the beginning of his excuses.
He tried to go the insanity route.
Yeah. One of the first questions he'd be asked is, why Florida? And he said it was the furthest, most opposite direction of where he was. And they probably wouldn't be looking for him out there. He knew no one and thought it'd be safe. And he learned from his first escape, being in a warm climate would be easier for him than hiding in a winter hailing mountain climate where he almost died. And obviously he would be arrested for the Chi Omega murders with the bite mark on Lisa's butt cheek leading right back to him. Remember, this is a time of mail and I almost said rotisserie. Rotary phones. So it took a while to compile everything together. Everything's literally rotary phones or mail. There's no email. A witness also placed Bundy at the Chi Omega house as well, saying they spotted him. Liz at this point cut Bundy off. She has distanced herself from him, and honestly, he doesn't give a fuck. Let's be honest. He doesn't care. He never really did. Ted only cares about Ted.
Liz, the girlfriend?
Yeah, she finally cut ties with him.
About town.
Shortly after that, Carol Ann Boone would come into the picture. If this name sounds familiar, it's because we mentioned it before. She was one of his co-workers, I believe at the suicide center. It could be
That's what I was thinking.
Somewhere else. Not to be confused with Anne Rule, who wrote the book about him and stuff, with the dog and was the cop. This is Carol Ann Boone. So they met back in Washington, and she was his biggest supporter, biggest fangirl, and someone that he met at one of the jobs.
Why?
She'd come to court. She'd see him while he's incarcerated. And this Carol Boone girl was obsessed with him. She truly thought he was innocent, even after he was convicted in a very obvious monster to not just women, but children. She still believed he was innocent till he got executed. And after.
Why? Either he got her as brainwashed or she's fucking stupid. What the fuck?
It gets better. He eventually proposed to her while she was on the witness stand testifying on his behalf, and they were married.
What?
I will state it later, but it's a law that, like, if you declare you're married in a courtroom in front of a judge in the state, their state specifically, you're considered married. I saw the video. It was very cringe. He's questioning her and does it. Like I stated earlier, Ted's trial would be the first trial to be televised nationally, so it went crazy, and even more fangirls flocked to him. And ladies.
Bundy.
Ladies, what are we doing? Like, seriously. I see it to this day. Bundy,
any prominent
the latest
serial
was
killer,
the Deadpool
crazy
killer,
fucking person.
the Wade guy I had you watch on TV. That's been the latest one. Like, we have to do better.
It's a thing with women wanting people in jail. I don't know what is it the bad boy persona? Is it the big bad? He's against the he goes against the fucking current whatever, like,
especially the ones who you know what he did. What makes you gravitate towards him?
Turns him on, I guess.
If you were the one he brutally, I would think, wow, what if I was the one he brutally beat to death, strangled, sexually abused, cut up, threw over the mountain, maybe raped my dead corpse?
Well, you know what they think.
Or,
he won't do that to me.
What if your 12-year-old sister or daughter was the 12-year-old girl he raped and murdered? I just don't get it. I don't. But either way,
do that to me.
That's what everyone thinks.
And then he probably charms them, and they're all brainwashed and love-struck.
Well, that's a big thing, is these men, they don't have anything else to do. They're in prison for fucking murder. They have nothing else to do. I just don't get it. I don't. I just had to put something on that. Either way, he had fangirls, and they were obsessed. They dressed like him. They do their hair like him. There's videos of them fawning over him in the courtroom with goo-goo eyes. Literally, there's this picture, and he's here, and it's like 4 women, and they're like, just looking at him. Like he's a fucking prize. When I saw these grown women looking at him, and mind you, they're all older than me. They remind me of teenagers in puppy love. Like you're sitting in class and you're like, Ted's head sideways, especially this one girl in it. Mm-hmm. At this point, they also found his last victim, 12-year-old Kimberly Leach, which we discussed earlier that they found her, but just so you have a time frame of when they found her during the trial. And when he was told he would be charged for the Chi Omega house and Kimberly's murder, Bundy said, quote, "When you find the person who committed these crimes that you think I committed, that person is going to be wanted for murders of women in the 3 digits across 6 states. And he made sure to use his fingers, just like I did for you, in case they couldn't count. So he said, when you catch this person who committed these crimes that you think I committed, that person is going to be wanted for actually murdering women in the 3 digits, so in the hundreds, across 6 different states, which I think what do we know about, like 4? Mm-hmm. So he's saying there's a shit ton more victims out there we don't know about.
That could very well be true.
It could. It could very, very well be true. And when stuff like this happens, like his first confirmed killing and the attacks and stuff in the beginning, they usually don't get caught the first time. Especially back then. Nowadays, different. But back then, usually there's steps. Like he's kidnapping and raping multiple women. He's stalking, and stalking leads to rape, and rape leads to murder. Like there's baby steps. You don't just jump in fully.
You're right.
There's little baby steps.
I feel like the big chunk of it happens early on. And obviously as time goes on, people start to catch on. It starts to get harder and harder to keep doing that same thing. You know what I mean?
And I feel like you get a little more unhinged, and you're looking for a little more each time because it's not as satisfying. And now everyone is like, where do we send him first to get him convicted, right? Because he's wanted for murder in multiple states. And they decide, let's send him back to Tallahassee for the simple fact they had a much more secure prison than out west. They put him in a secure area of the jail cell. They put multiple huge padlocks on his door on top of the old-fashioned keyhole, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So they said they had a keyhole, and they had these 2 huge-ass padlocks on his cell. The sheriff one night walked into Bundy's cell and said, "Ted, you're coming with me." And mind you, this is at nighttime. Ted said, "This is different, like what's going on?" And the sheriff said, "We're going for a ride." Now, I don't know what happened after, but the sheriff said Bundy did not like it. It was clear Bundy thought the sheriff was taking him on one of those solo rides you don't come back from alive.
That's what he thought?
He started going crazy.
What?
But that wasn't the case. And
shit, that would have been...
I'm sure as bad as that sheriff wanted to do it, he said, we're going for a ride. So he got Bundy in a van, and they switched up the cars as they drove where they were going. They didn't tell him. I'm sure as a way to confuse and trip him up. I mean, he fucking escaped 2 prisons.
Mm-hmm.
Just in case he got any ideas or tried to learn, like, patterns or anything.
Right.
But eventually, those doors opened one last time. Bundy got out, and there were 3 doctors in gowns and a dentist chair right beside them. They wanted those imprints from him. Bundy lost his shit. And one thing about Bundy, if you haven't seen pictures, he's got some pretty fucked up teeth. Like, he doesn't have the best teeth, especially his bottom row. It's not like crazy, like gaps everywhere or something. I have a front gap, so I feel like I'm allowed to say this. I feel like I endured enough bullying. I'm allowed to talk shit about a serial killer as well. So, I'm going to talk my shit. So, his bottom teeth, the center 2, they were good and even, right? Like, perfectly straight.
Uh-huh.
Then the 2 after that on each side were pushed back a lot. So, it's like his 2 teeth, these 2 are shoved back. And then the third tooth after that is sideways, and then the other ones are sideways in the opposite direction. So his teeth are very distinguishable, right?
Yeah.
I also put the bite mark, his molds, and actual pictures of his teeth on Patreon if you want to look at them to kind of compare everything. But they're very, very distinguishable. So Ted's losing it. He's saying, you can't do this without my attorney. And, sheriff says, oh, yes, we can. We have a warrant, and we're serving it to you right now. Then he showed Bundy what devices they could use to hold his mouth open if he didn't want to cooperate. And he said once he showed Bundy that, his whole demeanor changed like a switch. He became calm, looked at the sheriff, sat down in the dental chair, leaned back, smiled, looked back at the sheriff again, and said, Ken, you know you don't need all that stuff. I'm not a violent person. And they continued getting the molds and everything. They got his imprints super easily after that, and he was calm. I feel like just little glimpses, of that fucking switch. And he didn't even know about the bite marks that they had. Like, he could have put them together, but I don't know, maybe he did. He is in law school, so okay, maybe he did put it together. Like, oh, I bit her butt, maybe the teeth marks are on it.
Well, that's not the first time he's bitten somebody. It's been a thing.
Yeah, it's common. He likes to bite people. He almost, bit her nipple off afterwards, and that's the same girl. So
I'm sure it started ringing some bells,
So like I said, the beginning of trial was a huge spectacle, not just because of his murders across several states, or the fact it was the first aired murder on TV. It was actually largely due to what I now call pulling a Bundy, which we talk about all the time. He decided to be his very own legal attorney at this point. He said, oh, I'm going to get charged with these murders. Let me fire my attorney and become my own. Perfect timing to do that.
It always goes so bad.
And this back then was super uncommon, especially in a murder trial. He's very overly confident and smiling and laughing during the trial, like a grade A narcissist psychopath. He talked to himself in third person, he talked about himself in third person. It was just odd. It didn't matter if you loved or hated him. Everyone was tuning in to watch Bundy and see what's going on in this trial. Other departments from all the other states were coming in, seeing if they could link him to their unsolved cases. It was just insane to say the least. So you got all these other states saying, like, did he kill her? Did he kill her? Mm-hmm. So everyone's coming together. The trial is coming, and the interview I saw on TV, it's too much to go through. But if you're curious, just look them up. You can look up the interviews. So much shit. It was all aired on TV. It's all out there for everyone. If we sat here and go over every minute, we're going to be here for weeks talking about Ted Bundy. You could probably make a whole podcast about Ted Bundy, honestly. I will say this, if you're not a reader and you want to watch something, Netflix has a show called Conversations with a Killer, the Ted Bundy tapes, and I got a lot of information off there. A lot of the detectives, the lawyers, the Ted Bundy tapes they go over. There's a lot of cool information. It's like a 4-part series. But Ted, per usual, he tries whatever he can to throw anyone under the bus, and he makes it seem like everyone is out to get him. We're going to watch one final video that was aired on TV back then. Mm-hmm. And pretty much on July 7th, 1978, Sheriff Ken said the other officers across states wanted a piece of Bundy, but they had to wait because he had evidence and he wanted to take Ted Bundy into their custody, something the other investigators never had a luxury of. So he said, quote, I was not going to divert from the path we set because a lot of people didn't like Ken after this. Period. And I will tell you, I had a personal vengeance for the person that did this. I wanted to be the one to tell him that the grand juror of this county had indicted you for murder. Ken pulls out a piece of paper, and that's where I'm going to play the recording now. So pretty much he's in a room, he's waiting for Bundy to step through a door. There are a lot of people in this room. Bundy is in a prison blue jumpsuit. Ken is dressed head to toe in a very sharp black suit. He's actually the sheriff we've been talking about. Mm-hmm. He is also who he told the judge, because Ted Bundy's a lawyer now. The judge made it so he doesn't have to be shackled in the courtroom. No handcuffs, nothing. And this sheriff, I don't know why I did not put that in there. This sheriff was the one who's like, he needs to be shackled. He's an escape. He escaped twice. He's a flight risk.
Yeah.
And
it doesn't matter if he's representing himself or
he's an attorney. He's fine. Like, no, it's fine.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of officers in there, so the chances of that motherfucker getting away.
Oh,
close
my gosh,
to none.
Yeah.
But this would be interesting.
Step out, Mr. Bundy. What do we have here, Ken? Let's see. Oh, it's an indictment, all right. Why don't you read it to me? You're on ballot for election, aren't you? Mr. Bundy got it, didn't you? Mr. Bundy. You told him that you were going to get me. He said he was going to get me, okay?
Oh, my.
It's all you're going to get. Let's read it. Let's go. Theodore Robert Bundy, you are charged. Indictment, 2 counts burglary and 2 counts murder in the first degree, 3 counts attempted murder in the first degree. In the name of and by the authority of the state of Florida, the grand juries of the state of Florida impaneled and sworn to inquire and true presentment make in and for the county of Leon upon their oaths do present that Theodore Robert Bundy on the 15th day of January 1978 in Leon County, Florida, did then and there unlawfully enter or remain in a structure located at 661 West Jefferson Street, the dwelling of Karen Chandler and or Kathy Kleiner with the intent to commit the offense of battery therein. In the course of committing such burglary, said Theodore Robert Bundy did make an assault upon Karen Chandler and or Kathy Kleiner, contrary to section 81002 Florida statutes. Very good. And your grand jurors being present in said court further gives the court to be informed and understand that Theodore Robert Bundy on the 15th day of January 1978 in Leon County, Florida, did then and there unlawfully kill a human being, to wit, Margaret Bowman, by strangling and or beating her, and said killing was perpetrated by said Theodore Robert Bundy from or with a premeditated design or intent to effect the death of said Margaret Bowman, contrary to section 78204 Florida statute. And your grand jurors being present in said court further gives the court to be informed and understand that Theodore Robert Bundy on the 15th day of January 1978 in Leon County, Florida, did then and there unlawfully kill a human being, to wit, Lisa Levy, by strangling and or beating her, and said killing was perpetrated by said Theodore Robert Bundy from or with a premeditated design or intent to effect the death of said Lisa Levy. My chance to talk to the press. Contrary to section 78204 Florida statute. I'll plead not guilty right now. And your grand jurors being present in said court further gives the court to be informed and understand that Theodore Robert Bundy on the 15th day of January in Leon County, Florida, did then and there unlawfully attempt to kill a human being, to wit, Karen Chandler, by beating her about the head and knowingly or intentionally causing great bodily harm, and said attempt was perpetrated by said Theodore Robert Bundy from or with a premeditated design or intent to effect the death of said Karen Chandler, contrary to section 77704, 7788204 Florida statutes. And your grand jurors being present in said court further give the court to be informed and understand that Theodore Robert Bundy on the 15th day of January in Leon County, Florida, did then and there unlawfully attempt to kill a human being, to wit, Kathy Kleiner, by beating her about the head and knowingly or intentionally caused great bodily harm, and said attempt was perpetrated by said Theodore Robert Bundy from or with a premeditated design or attempt to effect the death of said Kathy Kleiner, contrary to section 77704, 78204 Florida statute. And your grand jurors being present in said court further give the court to be informed and understand that Theodore Robert Bundy on the 15th day of January in Leon County, Florida, did then and there unlawfully enter or remain in a structure located at 431A Dunwoody, the dwelling of Cheryl Thomas, with the intent to commit the offense of battery therein. And in the course of committing such burglary, the said Theodore Robert Bundy did make an assault upon Cheryl Thomas, contrary to section 81002 of Florida statutes. And your grand jurors being present in said court further give the court to be informed and understand that Theodore Robert Bundy on the 15th day of January 1978 in Leon County, Florida, did then and there unlawfully attempt to kill a human being, to wit, Cheryl Thomas, by beating her about the head and knowingly or intentionally causing great bodily harm. And said attempt was perpetrated by said Theodore Robert Bundy from or with a premeditated design or intent to effect the death of said Cheryl Thomas, contrary to section 7704 and 78204 Florida statutes. Contrary to the form of the statute in such case may be provided against the peace and dignity of the state of Florida. That is the indictment handed down by the grand jury. This is the capias for your arrest for burglary of the dwelling, 2 counts murder first degree, 2 counts attempted murder first degree, 3 counts. I am commanded to keep you in safe custody and bring you before the spring term of the Circuit Court 1978 to
before the pending court of this county for those charges that I just read to you in case number 78-670, State of Florida versus Theodore Robert Bundy.
Is that my copy?
No, it is not.
Am I going to get a copy?
We have your copy. You have the copy.
I have a copy. How about the cables?
You get that.
I talked to the press. I mean, we've had our chance. We've displayed the prisoner now. I think it's enough. Pardon me, which one?
I think that...
Well, listen. I've been kept in isolation for 6 months. I've been kept away from the press. I've been buried by you. You've been talking for 6 months. I think it's my turn now. All right?
we got a court order that there won't be any press interviews.
Sure, there won't be any press interviews. You've given them out. I'm gagged. You're not.
Okay. The county
All right.
manager will read you your
I'll
rights.
be heard.
If you will, reading him.
But I think of the indictment.
If you will, reading his rights and I'll upstairs, Jackie. Thank you. Okay.
I know that was a lot.
How did no one clock the shit out of him? He just seems so smug and arrogant.
Very.
And I know they have to stay professional, but like,
Yeah.
he seems very hard to deal with. Like, to even talk to that man. The arrogance is insane.
The arrogance, the I did not do it. Dead in your face, looking into your soul. My other thing was, I hear how he's like, oh, Ken, you're running for this. Like, I don't know exactly what he's running for, the sheriff, Ken, but he's running for something politically. And he's like, oh, you said you'd get me. You're running for it, right? Did you pull your strings to get this indictment? Like, no, bitch, it's not even just him. Like, you think just the sheriff came after? The FBI is on your ass, along with 4 other departments in different states. Like, what are you talking about? I will say this, and it could just be me looking deep, but I feel like every time Bundy got close to him, he kind of pauses and, like, looks up, like, waiting for Bundy to do some crazy shit. And maybe it's just
Like,
his cop instincts.
Give me a fucking reason.
People came at him for doing this.
Why?
They were upset with him.
Why?
The show I watched, some of the... Who was it? Like, journalists and reporters, and even some of the attorney-lawyer figures. They commented that Ken was being dramatic.
Dramatic?
Yeah, they would say that Ken came in with a suit because he's not in a sheriff outfit. He wanted to personally read this indictment to Bundy. And everyone's like, oh, he's just like being dramatic and doing this for props and this and that and like talking shit about Ken. And I kind of didn't like it because if your issue with this situation is that he's being dramatic, the sheriff who's reading an indictment to a serial killer, fuck you. Let him be dramatic. Be dramatic as shit, Ken.
Yeah. And the press is going to twist and say shit.
It was also lawyers and shit. The defense. Like, they said they were he was putting a show on. I wish I wrote down exactly what it was. The way I see it,
this was probably one of the most heinous crimes that's happened in his case. I mean, in his state, in his county, wherever.
Yeah.
And he wanted to be the man to present this to that killer.
And he
to
even
represent his state. And indict that man. Because he's probably never seen anything like that before.
I had a personal vengeance for the person that did this. I wanted to be the one to tell him that the grand jurors of this county have indicted you for murder.
That was his mission. That's what he wanted to do.
Let him... I don't know why, I just got chills reading that.
But he was representing his department, his state, his county for what that man did, and he wanted to indict him. He wanted that man to hear it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He wanted to look him in his face, his little smug brat. And with how his attitude is this whole time during trial and shit, I'd want to look him in the face too and say it. I'd want to be smug. I don't give a shit. Within the last few years, I saw an attorney say something about it. And it's like, dude, so you know Ted Bundy did this. He's been executed forever ago. We're in the I think it was like 2022, 23 that they said it. And you still gonna talk shit about the sheriff? For reading an indictment in a suit?
I hate the press sometimes.
Like, what that was the defense. That was a lawyer, attorney, whatever.
Even
It's
the
just
defense,
ridiculous.
man, they just come up with shit to try and make the other side
Yeah,
look bad.
I mean, whatever. I want to say I get it.
And you know what's infuriating about all this, too? All these people, the lawyers, the prosecution, whatever, they have to act with a level of professionalism. And then you got fucking Bundy acting arrogant and smug, and it's like... Yeah. I know all of them. They just wish they could just rip his fucking head off. You know what I mean? But they have to act with this level of professional and, you know, and they got to keep it cool. And he can just act whatever which way and laugh in their face, do whatever.
We have 2.5 more pages, so we're almost there. You're doing great. But
no, you're doing great.
Thank you. What I'm about to tell you, you're going to be like, what the fuck? It's just, of course, we're going to, little cherries on top here. During the trial, the two survivors, oof, my accent came out there. The two survivors, ours are hard sometimes. Okay, give me a break, guys. What are we going on?
The
2 hours and 46 minutes of recording this, so give me a break. Okay. The murders, the survivors. So during this trial, the two survivors from Chi Omega testified against Bundy, so the two people that lived in the sorority house after the attacks. This man, these two Chi Omega witnesses that survived his brutal attack, this man almost beat them to death, murdered their friends, sexually assaulted them. Whatever else fucked up shit he did, he ruined one's dancing career. She couldn't dance anymore.
Uh-huh.
And they had to sit there in court and look him in the eyes, going over every detail of what he did while he got to question them because he is a lawyer.
It's infuriating.
I don't even know what to say because it makes me so fucking
It's infuriating.
mad. He stood there, listened to their story, and tried to tell them it didn't happen. So not only are you sitting there defending yourself on how this man almost fucking killed you, attacked you, raped you, did all this awful things to you, but you're not arguing with just a lawyer. You are arguing with the man who did this to you.
Yep.
And that is disgusting that is allowed to me.
And he's straight up telling you I didn't do that.
And he's saying you're a liar, that never happened.
Infuriating.
Very infuriating.
You know, it's...
I can't. Okay, I'm done. I gotta get off this, sir.
I just want to say, like...
I'm just mad thinking about
although, if Bundy did have a lawyer, and the lawyer would be saying the same thing, it's just a little less...
Yeah.
Like, worse, because there's, like, a buffer. It's like, okay, you got another guy saying he didn't do it. It's just the fact he's saying it himself, and it's like, you fucking liar.
Now...
You got the nerve with a straight face,
This
all
will...
the arrogance. It's
Here's
ridiculous.
a little something good that came from it. Let's try to turn a little bit of this anger into some compliments for the ladies, right? Before I go on and on about Ted and how I just... Fuck Ted.
Fuck Ted.
Fuck Ted. I do think all the women... who survived this monster are the bravest women I've seen. They sat there and told their story, not just to the room where people and their attackers sat and listened, but they told their stories to the face of the man who did it to them. They had to exchange words with him, answer questions, and defend themselves when they shouldn't have to. And they did it bravely. My hat really goes off to these ladies. One crucial testimony came from two other sisters at Chi Omega. Connie Hastings, who placed Bundy in the vicinity of the sorority house that evening, and Nita Neary, who saw him leaving the house clutching the murder weapon, which was a log. I can't remember which of the girls who were attacked said this. I did read a little bit about it, and I also heard, shout out to my morbid ladies, Ash and Elena. If you haven't heard of them, definitely check them out. One of my top 3 true crime podcast ladies. One of the victims who had to sit there and account everything that happened and answer Bundy's questions, recalling the night, she said she knew he wanted to hear her speak about what happened in detail and how horrified she was. He just wanted to see the horror in her face, and she said it. Let's be real, he got off on it, so I'm sure that's exactly what he wanted. I mean, this shit turned him on. Yeah. He liked it. He liked doing it. He liked seeing it, and I'm sure he would love to hear a woman explain it to him. Instead of getting too personal, she answered with yes or no's, and this is the famous court scene where he snaps. You have to answer the fucking question. And she was like, there it is. There's that monster. He has no control when it actually pops out of him, but it's deep down in there. And this showed a side of Ted the entire courtroom was finally able to see. This is the point where everyone in any show, movie, documentary, book discusses. It's the first time the world got to see Theodore Bundy lose his shit and that violent beast slip through his cracks.
They all saw him crack. Like you're saying, it highlights the fact that he wanted to hear them say it.
Yeah,
exactly. He got off.
That's why he said, you have to answer the fucking question.
So he actually got frustrated when she wasn't answering it the way he wanted her to say it.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yep. He was upset she wasn't accounting it for... He wanted to hear
that whole facade fell apart right in that moment.
In front of everyone. And she said everyone was kind of like taken aback. You know, like, what the hell? And you see how they grab his arm and he gets so upset in court.
He has these conflicting emotions. And
I think
he's a killer, but don't treat me like a killer. Like, he does these heinous things, but don't talk to me that way, or don't treat me like I did that.
I think he's a very angry person, and it's built up, and he tries to hide it, so when he snaps, it's very noticeable. And I think that he is way too concerned about his personal image, and he's always been like that.
Concerned. Obsessively concerned.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's always been. And that's always how he maintains his, quote, perfectness. You know what I mean? Like, he's a perfect guy, his image.
Right.
And now it's like, what the fuck? Don't touch me. I'm not a criminal. Even though, like, dude, this is the least of your concerns now. But he doesn't think logically. That's his fucking problem. Right. One of many.
But maybe it's the loss of control.
I think that, too.
He has so much control over his image, and then when people are treating him...
And he's a control freak.
Treating him different than the way he perceives himself.
Yeah.
He flips the fuck out.
It makes sense. Now, the incriminating physical evidence includes impressions of the bite marks that we talked about, which was matched perfectly to the castings he got done. The jury was also allowed to hear details of Carol's kidnapping and finally deliberated, which he was already found guilty of. When you are put on death row, you have a certain amount of appeals you're allowed to use. On your murder trial, actually, it's automatically appealed. That's one of the reasons it takes so long.
Mm-hmm.
So in court, he tried to say one reason that it should be appealed is because they let Carol, the girl he kidnapped and got away. Remember, that trial is already done. He was already convicted of her kidnapping.
Yep.
They brought that back up in murder trial. And a lot of cases, they won't let you bring old shit up. Even if it's like, oh, he's a violent offender, here is how.
Yeah, especially if he's already been convicted of that crime. So, it's called something. There's a special term for it.
Well, he tried to say because they brought Carol in and told of the kidnapping and whatnot, that she and that is the reason that he really got convicted of murder and that they shouldn't have let it happen. And pretty much that's what he tried to fight the appeal on. He said Carol should have never came in. She's what ruined it. You guys weren't supposed to do it in the first place.
He's just trying to find any reason
exactly.
to try and get it.
It took less than 7 hours, which is a bit surprising in my opinion. But again, people thought he was innocent. But they eventually convicted Bundy on July 24th, 1979, of the Chi Omega killings of Bowman and Levy. He also received 3 counts of attempted first-degree murder for the assaults on Kleiner, Chandler, and Thomas, and 2 counts of burglary. Judge Edward Coward imposed death sentences for the murder convictions, of course. Bundy appealed his conviction and death sentence to the Supreme Court of Florida, claiming Carol's testimony of her kidnapping is what sealed the deal for him, and that it happened in another state and it was a past conviction that shouldn't have been brought up. But it didn't matter. Bundy was a murderer. Everyone knew it at this point. Your appeal didn't even matter. 6 months later, a second trial took place in Orlando for the abduction and murder of Leach, the 12-year-old girl his last killing. The last killing he committed of the 12-year-old child, he was found guilty once again, after less than 8 hours of deliberation, due principally to the testimony of an eyewitness who saw him leading Leach from the schoolyard to a stolen van. So someone saw him taking her. Other important material evidence included clothing fibers with an unusual manufacturing error found in the FSU van. So Bundy, he stole one of the college vans, FSU. I don't know if you remember me saying that, so I was just pointing it out again. Yeah. Bundy stole and on Leach's body. So there was unusual fibers, and they had manufacturing discrepancies in them. Mm-hmm. So they were able to link these fibers to the van Bundy stole, so they knew there was Bundy's fibers, and on Leach's body. And these fibers actually match the jacket Bundy was wearing when he was arrested last.
Okay.
So, a nice bow on it. During the penalty phase of the Leach trial, Bundy took advantage of an obscure Florida law providing that a marriage declaration in court, in the presence of a judge, constituted a legal marriage. So in Florida, you can declare a marriage in a court in front of a judge, and it's considered legal.
During a trial.
He was questioning Carol Boone, who we discussed a bit earlier. He was one of her coworkers at, I believe, the suicide hotline. I could be wrong, don't quote me. But he has had many jobs. We put the job list out. It's like 20 fucking jobs. She ended up moving from Washington to Florida to be closer to Bundy. She had testified on his behalf during both trials and was again testifying on his behalf as a character witness. And while he questioned her, he asked her to marry him. She accepted, and Bundy declared to the court that they were now legally married. He's a lawyer, so remember, he knows all this bullshit. On February 10th, 1980, Bundy was sentenced for a 3rd time to death. As the sentence was announced, he reportedly stood and shouted, "Tell the jury they were wrong. Okay, Bundy." This 3rd death sentence would be the one ultimately carried out nearly 9 years later. Only Carol, his new wife, would appear on October 24th, 1981 to beg for mercy on his behalf. She also... She also eventually gave birth to a daughter, Rose Bundy.
When did they have time?
Conjugal visits were not allowed, but inmates were known to bribe guards with money to allow intimate time alone with their female visitors. Between trial and his death sentence, Bundy would actually give many more names and admit to many more people that he murdered. So this is kind of Bundy's explanation on why he did these things.
Oh my God. Let's hear it.
During conversations with the killer, the TED tapes, Bundy stated, "The big payoff for me was actually possessing whatever it was I had stolen. I really enjoyed having something that I wanted and gone out and taken it. Possession proved to be an important motive for rape and murder as well. Sexual assault, he said, fulfilled his need to totally possess his victims. At first, Bundy killed his victims as a matter of a way to eliminate the possibility of being caught, which every killer uses as an excuse. But later, murder became part of the adventure for him. Quote, adventure, that's what he said, not me. And this is one of his last quotes I'll read before we finish up here. The ultimate possession was, in fact, the taking of the life. And then the physical possession of their remains." So he's talking about necrophilia with their corpses.
When it says possession, I see that word being synonymous with control.
I agree.
The ultimate control.
Yeah.
Control over their life.
Yeah.
Control over their body.
I think it's crazy. He refers to them as possessions. Is fucking insane to me. The man is sick.
I believe he very well might be telling the truth here.
Oh, with that?
Yeah.
I'm sure. So another thing about Ted Bundy, he actually, have you ever heard of the Green River Killer?
No.
So it's not a case I covered, and I don't know too much about it, so I'm not going to speak on it. It was a huge case going on, and he was like, he literally would say, let's push back my death sentence, like my date, so I can help you guys solve this crime. I can help you figure this out. Bundy would start giving them little bits of how he is, as if to be like, kind of like Jeffrey Dahmer. I want to know what's wrong with me. I want to help you guys prevent serial killers in the future. I don't know what he really thought he was getting away with.
He's going to be a hero now.
Yeah. I'm going to help you catch the Green River Killer. I might die and be a vicious murderer, but I'm going to show you that I didn't mean it. I don't know why I'm like this, and I want to help you catch people like me.
By using my mind.
In October 1984, Bundy contacted Keppel and offered to share his self-proclaimed expertise in serial killer psychology in the ongoing hunt in Washington for the Green River Killer. And on January 24th, 1989, Bundy rejected his last meal and was executed in the electric chair at 7:16 a.m. Eastern Time, if you're curious. His last words were directed at his attorney, Jim Coleman, and the Methodist minister, Fred Lawrence. "I'd like you to give my love to my family and my friends." A few hours prior to his execution, what love? Like, what the fuck? Just die.
I look him in his eyes and say, fuck you.
Seriously.
Like, someone just say something cruel. Something that would just, like, hurt him before he died. Like,
I think that's what a guard said to him that one day he snapped. I know. There had to be guards in there that were like, fuck you. Like, just
But
nasty.
that might not have, like, stung him. Like, something, what would get under his skin? What would, like, make his fucking blood boil?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just someone just say something and just, then he dies.
I say put him in a cell with a fucking couple men. That's my... I'm a big fan of prison justice. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Especially the stuff he did to little girls.
Was there no stories about that? Yeah, because he was fucking
They probably
killing
kept
little
him.
girls and shit.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't hear any stories about, like, men going after him or anything. I'm sure he was high profile. He's on death row, so who knows. But I wish they were able to throw him in a room with 5 huge-ass dudes. I do.
He probably wouldn't be able to fucking take it. Does all that shit to women, but when a man steps up to him, he probably fucking cowers.
Exactly. Prior to his execution, Bundy was allowed to make 2 phone calls to his mother, during which he apologized to her, stating, "I'm so sorry I've given you all such grief, but a part of me was hidden all this time."
I blame the grandfather. There was something there. He needs to be studied.
Oh my god. Well,
I think there was something there.
yeah. No, I mean, he
In
pretty
his
much
childhood.
turned out to be his grandfather, but worse. Hundreds and hundreds of people sang, danced, and set off fireworks outside of the prison, in a pasture across from the prison, as the execution was carried out. Then cheered as the white hearse containing Bundy's corpse departed the prison. Not his fans. They wouldn't be cheering. These are the people who are happy he got fucking killed. This would be me out there back in the day. Okay. He was cremated in Gainesville, and his ashes were scattered at an undisclosed location in the Cascade Range of Washington State, in accordance with his will. And that is the tale of Theodore Robert Bundy.
Dead Bundy.
Yeah. I also saw pictures of him, like, before and after the electric chair. Oof. Whoa.
Oof. Yeah, that shit fucks you up.
Holy cow. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I heard that shit, like, burns your head, but, like, oh my gosh. It was, like crazy. Yeah, so, fuck you, Ted. Thank you so much for joining me. Ty. Well, you guys as well. Look, if you listen this long, y'all, 70% of you do listen to my stuff every week, but you're not following. So, like, you could go do that. That'd be cool.
Yeah, give us a follow. We have plenty more of good content.
Oh, yes.
And
yes,
high-profile killers. And even the low-profile killers, because those sometimes more interesting than the high-profile stuff, because you don't hear too much about it.
That's why I like,
Yeah.
I like cases you don't hear. I actually, next week, I will be covering Trevor Hardy, the Beast of Manchester. He is pretty low profile, even though his crimes are horrendous. When he was killing, there was another big killing going on that time. So he didn't get a lot of publicity, which is insane because his killings are brutal. What do you think? Any comments?
I learned a lot. Like I said, like I knew a little bit about him, but doing this whole podcast with you, yeah, I learned a lot more about
it's crazy.
Ted Bundy.
It's
how crazy
it's
it was.
crazy, man. Maybe for these big cases, you can come along with me. It's kind of fun doing multiple episodes with someone. He said, I don't know, man.
Yeah. I'd love to do another one. It was great.
Yeah, maybe you can do the high-profile cases with me every now and then. Even though I know this episode's a little over 3 hours. So it's been a long one, but it'll be interesting to see how long it is once it's actually edited, because we do a lot of side bantering I cut out. But I think in total, this was probably over 5 hours of recording. This is my biggest segment, and like I said, if you're here till the end, thank you. Ty, thank you.
Like I said, it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure.
Comments, questions, concerns, whatever y'all got, leave it. If you want to see interviews and stuff, go online, check it out. Check out anotherbundyblog.com. Great website. Great. I got a lot of photos and everything off there, so if you're interested in all that stuff, definitely check them out. I'll see you guys next week for Trevor Hardy. If you're on Patreon, that bonus episode will be dropped the end of this week as well. Until then, I'm Gabby D.
I'm Ty.
And this is Beyond the Bonesaw. Fuck you, Ted.
Dead Bundy.
Fuck you, Ted.